What a day. Look at it outside. Doesn't it feel like we are, or I am at least, in the town of Silent Hill? I feel like I'm missing some gongs. Some gongs in the distance. Some horns. Walking around, can't see shit in front of me. Star-Lord's in the house early this morning. It is the Mist. It's the Mist. It's Silent Hill. It's everything. The eclipse has come back. Yeah, it's quite a gloomy day out there. It's humid, so it feels warm. So no hoodie today, unfortunately. I love my hoodies, but it is nasty out there. So expect the ghouls and goblins to be coming out this morning. What the hell am I talking about? I have no idea. Let's just start things off, shall we? What's going on, y'all? 56 degrees outside here in New York City, coming to you live. Good morning, y'all. Good morning, everybody. 9 minutes past the hour, up here. The Morning After Live with your boy Renee in the house. What's up, yo?
Wow. Yeah!
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in this morning. Happy to be back. I know I haven't been here since Monday. Just had a busy week, really, to be honest with you. Just had a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. Working on stuff for the channel as well, because happy anniversary. The channel is celebrating its 4-year anniversary as of yesterday. So I always like to say this. Yes, it's the 4 years since this channel started, but I didn't really exactly do much until the second year end. Because, like I've said in the past, my initial year of doing online content really all started on Twitch. And for the first year, I really focused on Twitch, and I would do occasional stuff here on YouTube. The first video I think I uploaded on YouTube was, I think, some Final Fantasy VII Remake clips of my playthrough, because this was the same year that Final Fantasy VII Remake came out. And I did also an unboxing of the deluxe set. And then I did attempt to do kind of like a weekly live show here and there. And I started doing like small movie reviews here and there as well. But again, the majority of my time online was really on Twitch. And then second year in, I was like, you know what? I think I really want to focus more on YouTube, because I like the flexibility of doing live streaming and video, like long format videos that I can edit, because I feel like that is really where my passion lies, is more in like the editing and putting videos together. So that's basically what happened there. And I guess that's all she wrote. And here I am 4 years after the fact, or 3 years from that point after the fact. And I'm still doing this stuff, still having fun, still trying to innovate and, come up with some interesting, fun, nice things to do here. And I'm always happy with the support that I've gotten from all of you. Those of you watching live, or those of you who watch on the replay, or those of you who watch my other videos up on the channel there. Got a decent amount of views on my reaction to the Joker trailer. Foyer Adieu with Lady Gaga and all that. And, again, that's a funny story too, because I remember initially when I started this channel, the one thing I said I never wanted to do was be a reaction channel. I never wanted to do reactions and all that. But I've been told that I'm pretty good at reacting to stuff. I'm pretty good at recapping stuff, right? So I decided to finally give it a shot. A little over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now. The first thing I reacted to were the trailers that came out of, I believe at that time, D23, when they released the first trailer for the live action Little Mermaid. And I said, you know what? F it. Let me give this whole reaction thing a shot. And I did. And I remember it was funny because I actually cried during that initial teaser trailer they did where she's just singing. It was like a small clip, and I started tearing up because it was very emotional. And that was a pure reaction that I gave on my thing. And that video blew up, quote unquote. I think it got like 6,000 views in a couple days and all. And I think people were just like, because my reactions are genuine, you know, like I'm not trying. I feel like a lot of reaction channels out there, they kind of like ham it up a bit. I still think that. I don't ham nothing up. What you see is what you get. That's really how I am. If I don't react, that means it's not worth reacting to. You know. So I know a lot of people love reaction videos. Obviously, the majority of my views come from reaction content. So it is what it is. I have learned to accept that. I've learned to embrace it. I'm not going to react to everything. That's just not how I am. I can't. I'm not going to be reacting to every single trailer that goes out there. It's just stuff that I personally enjoy and that I'm interested in. You know, I wish I could react more to like TV shows and streaming shows and movies. And I do plan to do that throughout the years. But the editing time behind those things are very painstaking and take a long time. Plus, you have to deal with like copyright content and all. And it gets to a point where it's just like, all right, I am not a real rejects. I'm not one of those major channels where they can get away with more stuff. That's just how the landscape works. You know, maybe I'll get there eventually, but until then, that just means I have to do more work into editing, more work into making sure that I don't get flagged every time I react to something. So those have been a little bit few and far between as far as like that type of content's concerned. But I'm trying to make it up by doing a little things here and there, you know, and I plan to do more things behind the scenes. And if you are a fan of the channel, if you love to do, you know, what we do here, what I do here, I'm going to come up with more things to engage and interact with a lot of you out there. And just include you in what we do. Because at the end of the day, it's forming a community that we all share the same passions on. We love talking about the same crap. We love, you know, criticizing the same crap. And, you know, I want to be able to do it as a group and all. So that's that. That's just my little spiel on the anniversary there. Star-Lord was recording and uploading games from PC. Was that what you were doing before or what you're doing now? And yes, they do ham it up quite a bit, these reaction channels. Starting to get a little tired at first time movie reactions because I've seen everything and I just can't relate anymore. Yeah, I agree. Especially nowadays, because I feel like now you're getting a lot of like the younger generation reacting to movies that I grew up watching and all. And it gets to the point where now you're having like overlap, right? Where you have some channels that have already reacted to certain things. And then like a year later, now you have a new group of people reacting to new things. And I'll be honest, like, again, there are some of these channels that I really respect and I think they do great jobs and all. And I love the personalities behind it all. But I also do think that they're reacting to stuff they have seen before. Because I've seen certain individuals in other platforms, in other shows, live shows, whatever, and they've spoken about seeing these movies before. And now I'm seeing them doing first-time reactions to said movies. Sorry, I can't, you know, I can't support that. I can't agree with that because you already talked about this movie before. You've seen it. So don't put up a front like you haven't seen it before, but it is what it is. I get it. It's a business, right? You have to do what you got to do. I will never do that. I'll tell you straight up. It's like, yeah, I've seen this before, so this is more like a rewatch. Or if I haven't seen it before, I'll just say the same thing. I straight up say, hey, first time watching this. All right, let's see where this goes, right? That's just how it is. And that's how I am with all my content there. So, honest, genuine, that's me. So a little outline of what's going to be happening today. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. Big news out of CinemaCon this week. Every major studio had their presentations, some reveals, some footage that was screened just for the audiences there. So I'm going to be recapping a lot of that stuff. Obviously, the new movie of the week is Civil War, Alex Garland's potentially last directed movie that he's going to be doing for some time, or the foreseeable future, or however you want to call it. So that's something that I'm definitely going to be talking about this morning as well. And just a lot of X-Men 97 episode 5 just came out, so I'm going to be, discussing that too. And just other little bits of news here and there that came out during the past week. So if you are interested in watching and listening to my review on Civil War and my kind of recap of CinemaCon, definitely stay tuned to the second hour of the show. So around 11 o'clock ish, I'll be doing that. And something new that I'm going to be trying this morning is, once I do my kind of discussion and review on Civil War, I'm actually going to be starting a live stream for YouTube Shorts. This is something that I've been trying to test and fool around with for the last couple of weeks. I haven't been able to successfully do it, but it's something that I had in my mind for about a month now, ever since I learned that I could live stream on Shorts in the vertical format. So I just been trying to figure out how I can incorporate that with what I do here. So around the 11 o'clock hour, I'll be going live on YouTube Shorts. So if you get a notification about that, it's up to you to choose if you want to check it out. But if you're comfortable more with the regular formatting, then by all means, you don't have to leave and do anything different. That also leads to potential of new viewers and maybe more comments coming in. So we'll see what happens. Look, at the end of the day, I'm just testing all of this stuff out and see how it goes. Want to try to grow the community and grow the channel, and I have to do what I have to do to try to accomplish that as best as I can. And so we'll see what happens. Starlord, I don't know if you're doing this on purpose. I'm noticing a lot of your messages getting retracted. You don't have to do that unless you have a reason to. So just wanted to see if everything was cool on your end there. All right. Before I start into talking about some of the major topics this morning, I got to get some stuff off my chest, because there are some things that came out this week that kind of baffled me a little bit. And I don't understand how this could be beneficial for the companies involved and for people who are fans too. Like, I don't know the thought process behind all of this, and it's really, really mind-boggling to me. So obviously, one of the big things this week is the new Fallout series. It has been released on Amazon Prime Video. It's been an eagerly anticipated show, especially if you're huge fans of the video game series. I am not. I've never played Fallout. It just seemed a little bit too open world, a little bit too time consuming for myself. So I just didn't partake in any of those games. But I know a lot of people who are huge fans of the game. So when they announced that this series was coming out, obviously a lot of people were really anticipating it. And this could be a big thing for Amazon, like, especially if you could land a great game adaptation that's going to do huge business for you. Look what happened with The Last of Us on HBO. That did really well for them. And for me, it's one of the best video game adaptations I've seen personally for me. I know there are some people who have their criticisms about it. I know there are some people who may not have liked certain choices and all, but as someone who have played the game several times, who loves the series, I personally had no problems with the show at all. I thought it was well done, and the performances and those involved did a really great job overall. Now with this new Fallout series coming out, I think a lot of people are just eagerly anticipating this. I'm already hearing good things about it. I'm probably going to start watching it this weekend and see what happens if I could talk about it next week. But like a lot of companies, they're trying to promote this and market this. Again, I think Amazon realizes how this could be a potential big thing for them. I think they were taken back by the mediocre reception on Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings series that they put out there, especially with the amount of money that they spent on that damn show, right? They've seen success with Fleabag and other programming there. So I think they really, really, really want to promote this as best as they can because they see potential franchise opportunities here. They've already seen success also with series like The Boys, Invincible. So within the pop culture zeitgeist, they're doing a great job right now. And this will only take them up a notch and put them in another echelon. Starlord, I want you to know, as always, the way I believe, you could speak your mind as much as you want. No need to self-moderate. Doesn't matter if your chat is out of context. I want people to be as free as possible here, within reason, of course, and respectable. So, you know, I appreciate that you're doing that for yourself, but I want you to know that you don't have to all the time. So they decided to run this promotion, and look, when it comes to series, promotions and tie-ins are not new. If you have followed me and my channel for some time, you know I do love a good tie-in. One of the affiliates that I always support and advertise is Fever Entertainment. Fever, they do a lot of these great promotional collaborations with a lot of studios to do certain special events. Stranger Things was one big one that they did that I really loved, that experience that they did. You know, they've done other things with like Barbie in LA, and they did things with other studios for other promotions. Last year when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem came out, they did this promotional thing here in the city where it was kind of like a walkthrough experience. I didn't have a chance to go because tickets for that sold out really quick. You know, but you know, it's nice to be able to immerse yourself into a world, especially if you're a fan of it, while leading up to whatever planned thing was going to come out, whether it's a TV show or a movie, right? So these promotions are not new. Now, when it comes to promotions and tie-ins, when it comes to food-related stuff, you know, that's been a lot of hit or miss. Sometimes you'll see tie-ins with like potato chip companies or beverage companies. I think recently Coca-Cola announced that they're releasing this Marvel collaboration where they're going to have specialized Coke cans with Marvel characters on them. Yeah, we've seen this done before in the past. Pepsi did one with Star Wars many years ago when the prequels were big. So again, this is stuff that's not new or anything like that. However, what I don't understand is when you make something in a promotion that's very limited, that seems like the majority of the thing that people are going to have to do is hunt it down and fight for it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, so Amazon Prime teamed up with GrubHub to do a special Fallout promotion. And this is not the first time that they've done promotions like this with Amazon Prime. This is actually something that they've done multiple times in the past, but I've never seen it to this such limited capacity. And I beg the question, why? Like, how does this benefit you? And if you, again, let me recap everything here. I'm going to share my screen here. So this is basically what you're getting here. And this was only for one day, yesterday, April 11th. And it was timed too, right? So I believe if you're in New York, starting 11 a.m. Eastern time, you were able to start placing your orders on GrubHub to get this special, what I'm going to call a Fallout Happy Meal. You get a special Fallout themed Happy Meal box. You get a burger, fries that they're calling out Fallout fries. They're calling it a Nuka Blast burger. You're getting Nuka Factory Cola, which is, again, if you're a fan of the video game, then this is probably going to be like, oh my God, this is pretty dope. This is pretty awesome. So you're getting all this stuff, right? Now, they're calling it the Nuka Blast Burger Meal, right? It's $12, which is not expensive. That was one thing I was surprised about, because I was expecting them to charge like $20, $25 and all. But it's a $12 meal, right? And it comes from the Nuka World Cafe. And it's only available in New York City and Los Angeles. So limiting it to those two metropolitan cities, I could kind of understand too. This is not a full blown out promotion. Maybe they don't have the means or abilities to roll this out all across the nation. So to limit it to your two major markets, totally understand. I get that. That's not what I'm complaining about here. Okay. The article here goes on to say that, give insights about the show and what it's based on and what it comes in. So in the game, the burger is sold at Cappy's Cafe in the Nuka world before the Great War. It was so spicy that it was nicknamed the A-bomb on a bomb. GrubHub is attempting to capture that A-bomb flavor and describes the burger as a way for fans to satisfy their hottest cravings. The burger includes Calabrian chilies, fire. So it's giving you insights about how they made the burger here. Then comes with a peach-flavored Nuka Cola Victory Special Release from Jones Soda, which is a well-known company, to help cut through all the peppers, offering part-time video, Prime Video, and GrubHub's own. So the next part here basically tells you how many times Amazon has teamed up with GrubHub for these type of promotions. They call it the Tune In and Takeout series. They've started this back in 2022, and they have done this with, I guess, season releases of The Marvelous Miss Maisel, The Summer I Turned Pretty, Candy Cane Lane, and Shotgun Wedding, right? So very cool stuff, right? And I think it's a very interesting promotion overall. And if you're a fan of the game and of the series, then this is probably going to be something that you're like, oh, I can't wait to do this. This is going to be a lot of fun. Here's where it gets tricky. All right. Now, if you read the little terms and conditions and the fine line, the fine details of everything, and this is directly from GrubHub's website. Fallout Nuka Burger Blast, or Nuka Blast Burger Meal. Very limited supply of 150 orders in New York City and 150 orders in Los Angeles. So let that sink in. And plus, they're limiting it one meal per order. So you're going to have this promotion in both Los Angeles and New York, but only 150 people are going to be able to order said special limited edition meal. Why? Why is it that little? And what does that do for you as a marketing team when you have 150 people who are probably already going to be watching this damn thing? And maybe they order on GrubHub normally, or maybe they don't. So maybe it's going to bring in some business to GrubHub. But 150 orders is not a lot. It's very small, right? And it doesn't, for me personally, doesn't make a lot of sense at all. Because I'm going to tell you exactly what they're doing here. In both LA and Los Angeles, what they probably did is they teamed up with like some sort of ghost kitchen somewhere, one or two, and they told them, we need help with you producing this type of meal. We'll give you the box and we'll spread out the allocation of the Jones Soda release, which according to this article here that I read, if you missed out on this meal, you could just go to to Jones Soda, right? And get a 4-pack of that Nuka-Cola Victory Soda from Jones for $25. So at least you can still partake even if you didn't get the meal. So, okay, that's cool, right? And they're going to task these ghost kitchens to cook the burger the way that they're instructed to cook. Because if you don't know anything about ghost kitchens, they're like a one-stop shop kitchen. And they usually serve multitude of outlets. So if you order something from GrubHub, there's a good chance that you're going to order Chinese food or a burger or pizza. And there's a high chance that all of these different restaurants are all being done in one kitchen located somewhere near you. And they call it Ghost Kitchen. If you go on YouTube, there are people who do these videos where they kind of investigate the whole Ghost Kitchen thing. Like, for example, Mr. Beast's Burgers, most of his burgers, when you order them, are all done through ghost kitchens. And if you go to these like locations where a ghost kitchen is located, you'll see like in one building, it's one kitchen, but they cook for 10 different restaurants or 10 different takeout places. And then if you are like a GrubHub or DoorDash delivery guy, you go there, you press a bell. They usually have like a box where you can pick the thing up and then you go and then you get what it has to be delivered and all that stuff like that. This is the state of takeout that we live in now. And I think it got this popular even more so because of the pandy that we were in. All right. So one, limiting it to just New York and LA, teaming up with these ghost kitchens makes sense to me. But you could have done it to a lot more locations too, because ghost kitchens, they exist all throughout the nation, right? But they wanted to keep it this limited. All right. But 150 orders each location, each city is ridiculous to me. It doesn't make sense. And I feel like you're creating more of a problem for yourself, because what if you have 500 rabid fans who want to get this meal and maybe your platform crashes, maybe it causes an issue. And plus also, I'm going to be completely honest here. A lot of delivery people, sometimes make mistakes. And what if the food gets delivered to a wrong location? What if the delivery never shows up? What if the ghost kitchen isn't able to even produce the amount of orders in such a short period of time because of the high demand? Now you're causing a huge problem for everyone involved, right? So let's go back to the GrubHub website here. Ordering is available 11 a.m. Eastern, and ordering ends at 8 p.m. Eastern in New York, and the same in LA, while supplies last, right? They always say, subject to availability, order subtotal will be $12 before tax, tip, and fees. So again, if you're familiar with ordering online through either GrubHub or DoorDash, those fees could add up. So this $12 order will probably eventually end up being $20 or $25, depending on where you are located, right? So again, I think for the type of experience and the type of promotion, not a lot of money, really. It's just going to be a very headache of a thing to do if you are really that interested in getting one of these things. Now, here's another kicker. It's only limited to these specific zip codes within those two locations, within those two cities. So this in itself can cause a problem too, right? Because just for shits and giggles, I decided to take a look into this to see if my zip code showed up. Now, I'm not really doxing myself because Rego Park is pretty big, and I live in Rego Park, Queens. So my zip code is 11374. I don't see anywhere here where 11374 shows up. So I personally, living here where I am, even though I am in New York, I cannot have participated with this, and I would not have been able to order such a meal, right? So I did more digging because there are some zip codes that I recognize that are very close to me, right? Like 11378 and 11379, right? So here, this is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go and I'm going to pull up Google Maps because I want to show you something that I found very, very fascinating. So if I type in the zip code 11378, that is a location called Maspeth, right? And Maspeth is an area in Queens, very suburban, right? Hold on, let me just zoom out here, right? And the thing I love about Google Maps is that they highlight exactly the area, right? All right. So this is where I get a little confused. So if you look at this map here, okay, this zone right here in the red outline is Maspeth. This is 11378, okay? Rego Park is literally right here. See? Rego Park. This is not that far of a distance from this location at all. Here's even a better thing. 11379, which is a zip code that they say they deliver to, is in Middle Village, New York. As if that wasn't bad enough, here is Middle Village right here. It's literally my next door neighbor. This is Rego Park. This is Middle Village. So you're telling me that because I'm separated by maybe a 5 to 10 block radius from Middle Village, that I won't be able to partake in this promotion? I don't understand how they come up with this stuff. I really don't. It makes no sense to me. And at the end of the day, what exactly are you doing? How does this help you promote your show? How does this help bring in more business to GrubHub? It's so baffling to me. I don't understand the logistics behind it all. Now, it's a different story if you created like a pop-up somewhere in the city where people can go there and partake in an event or an experience. Many companies have done that before also. And if supplies are limited, so be it. But you're giving equal opportunity for a lot of people to go there and partake. A lot of movie studios have done that. A lot of streamers have done that. No big deal, right? But to put yourself out there with a weird promotion with such limited availability and such questionable areas of availability, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You know, Amazon, and of course, look, Amazon's a big business. They have a lot of money. They could do whatever the hell they want. But you know this is not cheap for them to do. So they probably spent a ton of money, added this to their marketing budget, right? To promote such a thing that should be catered to like the fans of the show, the fans of the series, those who are really invested. But you're going to make it so difficult for them to enjoy it. So if anything, and again, I don't know exactly what happened yesterday when this was live. I don't know if there were any issues or problems. I personally, I have not seen any reviews about it. I have not seen anyone tweet about it or whatever the case is. I'm sure it's out there. But if you caused any kind of problems during this time of people getting their food, getting their orders in, or finding out that the delivery people couldn't deliver the food, or whatever the case is, then if anything, it's going to create a nightmare for you guys to monitor, because you know how the internet is. Very vocal. And they're going to say a lot of stuff. And I guarantee the majority of these people are like influencers because they want to tweet about it. They want to put it on their TikToks. They want to put it on their YouTubes and all of that stuff. And if you piss them off, then you're going to get a huge backlash from that community. And that's like the last thing you want to do, right? Also, I have to say, as someone who is a huge supporter of Queens, New York, we always get the shaft, you know, because Brooklyn and Manhattan are always the top ones because that's what people know most. You know, I'm looking at all the zip codes here from Manhattan, and basically they had every neighborhood in Manhattan covered. You know, Brooklyn, I'm not too familiar with all their zip codes and all, but I bet you they have a majority of Brooklyn covered as well. Why does Queens always have to get the shaft? And look how much of a shaft we got. I literally just showed you on the map that I am neighboring one of the zip codes that they deliver to. And if I wanted to partake, what would I have to do? Go to like a 7-Eleven, park in their parking lot and order from there and have it delivered? Probably. And I wouldn't put it past anyone if that's what they did, if that's what they tried to do too, just to try to get their hands on one of these limited edition meals, right? But it's just so funny. I just don't understand about these promotions and all. You know, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It just sounds really ridiculous, you know? So yeah, so that is something that just came up and I was just like questioning left and right. I was like, I don't understand any of this stuff, but it is what it is. So I'm curious if you're watching this on the replay or whatever, were you one of the ones who were you one of the 150 people who were able to place your order and get one of these limited edition Fallout Nuka Blast burger meals? If so, I need to know, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Because look, I love my fast food when I have it from time to time, and I've partaken in some limited edition stuff, whether it be the Grimace Shake or the Spider-Man Spider-Verse Whopper, which you could see a video of me partaking in online here on the channel. You know, I love, you know, partaking these like little silly gimmicks, but having to work for it, like some people may have had to do yesterday, nah, dog. That's a no for me, dog. So yeah, so that's that. Starlord, did you see Terrence Howard's hair? No, I haven't. All right, I gotta look this up. Is this from any particular event or something recently? Was it in the news? Oh my lord. What? Wait, what? What is he doing? Hold on. What is he? Whoa. Are you kidding me? What's happening here? What is he going through right now? Had an issue at Fox and Disney because the image that you see of us on Empire profile that came is still showing. So I guess he's having some Terrence Howard and his feathered wig detail in lawsuit against CAA. Against the agency, huh? Inadequate pay. All right. Well, what is this look he's going with? Homeboy thinks he's in the 70s, man. That is wild. That is wild. Holy shit. I can't stop looking at it. It's like a car crash. I can't turn my head away from it. And to think this guy was War Machine at one point. Next time, baby. Eventually, that's how he walks around with his hair. He's probably doing like one of these things, probably dressed up like a pimp, got the bell bombs and platforms, walking around. You got the way I walk on my walls, man. No time to talk. And it's like, next time, baby. Like, hey, what you doing, honey? Hey, what up, trick? Holy cow, Terrence Howard, are you okay? I think we need to do a wellness check on good old Terrence Howard here, because this is sad. This is really sad. Oh my gosh. What is going on with this poor man? Wow. Thank you for letting me know that. That is crazy. That is really crazy. Double Toasted. Oh, so I should tell you. I don't know if you watch Double Toasted often, but if you're familiar with their segment "What's Up, Son," you know that along with I forget who the main guy is there. I've known Double Toasted for a while, but I don't usually watch them. But you got the main guy there, and the other guy is Oz, right? Oz is my close friend. I've known Oz for more than 20 plus years. We go way back. So, in fact, I hung out with him the other weekend. So, you know, I love the fact that he's part of that show and part of that platform. So, I was always hoping that I can get Oz on one of these shows one day, or something that I do here. And we talked about it before. We even talked about maybe doing like a thing before together, just me and him, so that he could have something outside of the Double Toasted crew. But scheduling and all that stuff like that, that's kind of, it's been wonky. But you know, I love him to death. He's like a really, really good friend of mine. You know, so I love that he's part of that show. So if you know, if you're familiar with him and familiar with that segment of the show that they do there, that's my boy. Again, go way back there. So big shout out to Oz, my man. We actually worked in the video game industry together at one point. That's how I met him. So very cool stuff. Speaking of video game industry, this is another thing that really, I feel like this is like a segment like, you know what really grinds my gears? So this week we got treated to a trailer, a story trailer for this new, I guess, what is this? Ubisoft game that they're doing for Star Wars called Star Wars Outlaws, right? And for one, I think it looks interesting. I really kind of like how it looks. You know, I like the fact that we're really focusing more on like the bounty hunters and the smugglers, which has always been a part of Star Wars that I find extremely fascinating. But there are two things that really pissed me off here from a lot of the news that came out this week about this game. One is the prices for some of these things. All right. Here, there's a $130 version of Star Wars Outlaws that Ubisoft is offering, calling it the Ultimate Edition. Mind you, this is a digital version of the game. All right. So Ubisoft revealed will launch, Star Wars Outlaws will launch on PS5 August 30th. And they announced that it's going to come out in these kind of like editions, right? So you have the standard edition where you get to download the game for $70, already very expensive. The gold edition that gives you the game, a season pass, and a 3-day early access to the game prior to launch for $109.99. And if you are rich, or for you money is nothing, then you have Star Wars Outlaws Ultimate Edition, which is the game, the season pass, something they're calling the Sabak Shark Bundle, Rogue Infiltrator Bundle, a digital art book, and again, a 3-day early access for $130. Who in their right minds are going to pay that much money for a game? And look, no hate towards those of you who do and who want to, but I personally cannot justify these prices. This is just insanity to me. And you're telling me the only thing that maybe is somewhat appealing is the early access. Like, I want to be able to play it sooner rather than later. But you're asking me to pay pretty much almost double, or like $40, $50 more to do so? It's this business that's going on right now in the game industry makes no sense to me. Everyone's trying to make a buck, and they're really trying to glom as much money from the gamers out there. And it's silly. It really is silly. And again, there's a lot of discourse out there about the game industry failing and breaking down and falling apart. And this is one of the reasons why, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, because there's a huge fan base for Star Wars. That anytime a new game comes out within the Star Wars universe, a lot of people are very eagerly anticipating it and they want to play it. But you're going to put things out there with these type of prices, you're basically saying F you to everybody. F you to your community, F you to the game industry, the fan base. It's ridiculous. It's asinine. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Started saying disrespectful to gamers. Absolutely. Games are not worth that much. No. In my opinion, they're not. They're really not. And then here's the biggest rub to it all. This is the one thing that really pissed me off. If you wanted to get a physical edition of the game, so let's say you pre-ordered a game for, I don't know, for PS5, right? Or for Xbox, right? If you wanted to get a physical edition of this game, you still need internet access to install the game on your system. So what's the point in buying a physical copy if you're not going to be allowed to install it without an internet connection? What's happening here? What's going on? Makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's really stupid. And it's a big FU to this gaming industry. It's a big FU to the fans, to your consumer base. And in a way, it's almost like they're trolling those who are big supporters of physical media. It's like, F you, physical media guys. You want it so bad? Yeah, we can get it. We can give you it. We can sell you a physical copy, but you still need the internet to install it. It's just, it's so disrespectful. And it really upsets me and irks me. And I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to want to support a company like this, even though this is a game I really want to play. I can't see myself doing that at all. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to be right back. Sorry about that, guys. Someone was ringing my bell, so I wanted to make sure it wasn't anything important, and then I had to run to the bathroom. And it was just a wrong thing too. This is one of the things about living in a building is that for some reason, the way that the board works when you're buzzing people, I'm one of the first ones. That's just how it shows up for whatever reason. And so in a way, I'm like the default like the default unit that everyone buzzes, if they don't know how to work the board. So it's one of the few annoyances that I have living here where I am right now. So I always get wrongly buzzed for things. But it was good because I needed to desperately go to the bathroom. But yeah, going back to this whole Ubisoft and Star Wars Outlaws things, it's, as someone who is a huge fan and supporter of physical media and keeping that thing going and understanding and spreading the word on the importance of physical media, it upsets me when companies like this kind of take advantage of that need, that passion behind that kind of belief. The way I took this when Ubisoft basically said like, oh yeah, you're going to get a physical edition, but you need the internet to install it. It is like a big slap in the face, and again, and I feel like this is a common thread that a lot of people are going on about right now, and understandably so. The phasing out of physical media is really, we are here. We are seeing it. I mentioned before that I went to my local Best Buy recently and their Blu-ray section was completely vanished. It has completely vanished, right? I showed pictures of the racks and it was nothing. It felt like going there the day after like a Black Friday sale, but that's on a regular day. Target, their section of movies and games have shrunk as the years have gone by. And then the announcement recently about Hellblade 2 coming out on Xbox, and that being a digital only release for a main AAA title, like a major title, to only be a digital release. It's just like, wow. It's really unfortunate to see that we're heading towards this way, but it is what it is, and it sucks, and there's really nothing you can do about it but adapt, but at the same time, speak your mind and do whatever you can to support the importance of physical media, because I still think it is very important. And it's not something that we should easily just ignore and all, because we've already seen it. Licenses expire, contracts expire, things happen, and it's written in the TLCs and the TNCs that it is the company's right that they can just remove things immediately whenever they feel they have to. They had the whole thing with Sony and Discovery, their contract expiring. So anything that you bought that belonged to Discovery went away, regardless of the fact if you bought it. So in a way, it's like whenever you buy something digitally, it's like you don't own it. You just happen to own the license to view it or play it. But that can be easily removed and taken away from you. It's really ridiculous. It's so bad. But, again, there's not much you can do, but just try to find ways to adapt, whether you like it or not. So yeah, so those are like the two big things that really, really got me this week. And I had to talk about them because, I was very passionate about all that stuff. And it's just unfortunate. It really is unfortunate to see the stuff with the Ubisoft things and just the ridiculousness of the whole GrubHub, Amazon Prime Fallout thing. I mean, I just think that was, I still can't make any sense out of it all. Physical media forever. Damn right. Screw those business yuppies, millennials. Oh, that's funny. Since you brought that up, another interesting article I saw that came out this week is they were like, I believe they were polling millennials about where they're choosing to live nowadays. Like, what cities are they flocking towards? And it's interesting to see that they're not looking to really flock towards California or New York. They're going to places like North Carolina, Colorado, all that stuff. So it's just really interesting to see that trend happening. Not much to say about that. I just thought it was very interesting to see that that was something that was being discussed right now. All right. I am now going to attempt to do something I haven't done before. Right? I don't know how this is going to work. But I am now attempting to go live on YouTube Shorts for the very first time. Let's see how this works. It's going to be weird. It's going to be interesting. I hope it works. So let's see. Let's see what happens here. Oh, I'm live. Let's see.
When the process is happening, everything is just...
Yeah, maybe I should mute that. I don't want to see ads. Oh, I am live on Shorts. There it is. That is insane. What's up, Shorts people? What's up, Shorts feed? Oh, this is crazy. Okay. So I'm doing this because I am testing a new way of streaming live here. It's something that I've been trying to fool around with and figure out now for the last month. And it's just in hopes of gathering a new audience if possible. And I'm going to only do so whenever I do like major reviews on stuff, like whether it's a movie review or something that I binge watched on streaming and all that. So again, it's up to you as an audience whether you prefer to watch me on the regular format or the shorts format, the vertical format. And since this is my first time here, I'm pretty sure it's very possible and there's a potential to get new viewers and new commenters in the chat. So we'll just see what happens. But as I do that, I wanted to quickly talk about the new movie that came out this week, Civil War. So hold on one second. I just want to check something real quick. Hold, please. Oh, shoot. What the hell? All right. So the new movie that came out this week is Civil War. Alex Garland, written and directed by Alex Garland. I've mentioned before in the past that I am a huge fan of Alex Garland. Ever since I saw Ex Machina for the very first time, I knew that this was a director that I was really going to keep my eye out on. And I haven't been really disappointed with anything that he's put out there, whether it was Annihilation, even the last movie he put out before Civil War, Men, I really enjoyed. I thought that was a really well done movie. Very interesting story. And a lot of his movies that he has directed are very, with a lack of a better way to put it, ungrounded. So it's very, it deals a lot with maybe sometimes supernatural things or space. It's very, or AI in the case of Ex Machina. And it does a lot with science fiction and, kind of weird ways of storytelling. It's almost, he's like a perfect A24 director because he really goes out there as far as the stories he's telling, as far as everything that he's putting out. I kind of put him along the same lines of like Ari Aster or Robert Eggers when it comes to filmmaking and storytelling. Now, what's interesting about him is that when he writes movies, because he is a writer to start, he wrote novels, still does, I guess, and he writes screenplays. He wrote and collaborated with Danny Boyle for 28 Days Later. So he wrote the script for that. He also wrote the script for another Danny Boyle movie called, I believe it was called Sunrise, was it? A movie that I watched recently that I thought was really, really good, an underrated sci-fi movie that I highly recommend to everybody. So when he announced that he was, quote unquote, retiring from directing, I think a lot of people misunderstood and took into account thinking that he was going to retire from movie making overall, but he's not. He's just not going to be directing any movies in the next foreseeable future. But he wants to focus on writing, which sounds good and makes a lot of sense. And knowing his line of work, I think he excels in writing, and I think he should still continue doing that. So, of course, all of this came out right before Civil War came out, his new movie that's coming out this week. And I myself is curious, okay, what kind of movie are we going to get here? Because with Men, it was one of those movies that was really way out there. And I think for some, especially those who are fans of Alex Garland's work, it was not a favorite for a lot of people. It was a little bit different. He messed around and played around with a lot of different supernatural elements. But what he likes to do is that he always likes to center his stories around important messages as well. It's up to you to kind of interpret that as you wish, as any way you would. In Men, it dealt a lot with male toxicity, and kind of how it affects women, and how in particular it affected this one woman going through all that stuff, being, the way she was treated, the way that she was like kind of looked down upon, it just all the different experiences that she's had with men in general. And this one movie and the one place of town that she was in, she encountered basically all those stereotypical toxic men that she's dealt with in her life, while herself, had some experiences with a particular guy, which kind of forced her into this kind of retreat that she went on. It's a very deep story, very depressing story. And the ending alone was just way out there. It was just so bizarre. And in a way, like I said, I put him along the same lines of like an Ari Aster in the way they decide to do their storytelling. So when I go into Civil War, based off all the trailers that we've seen, Civil War looks a little bit more grounded. I wasn't expecting to see anything supernatural related. But I think a lot of people are going into this movie thinking that it's going to really speak highly about our political climate of the time, and this is his way of kind of telling a story about that. One of the things I'll say off the bat is that this is not that kind of movie. If you're going into this movie expecting a political movie, expecting a certain side to be spoken about more, or if you're looking to politicize anything from this movie, this is not the movie for that. And you're going to be basically wasting your time if that's what you're looking for in this movie. This is a more grounded movie. This is probably one of the most grounded and straightforward movies that Alex Garland has ever written and directed. And if this is the last movie that he's going to be directing for some time, then I think this is one of the perfect movies to kind of hang your hat on, as I'm pushing directing aside, and that's it, and I'm out. And I think with this is a great way to do that. What's going on, Drawing Girl 01? Nice to see you here. So with that being said, and I'm trying to think of a way to kind of talk about this movie without spoiling so much, at least off the bat. But then, of course, I'm going to go into more spoiler stuff later on. The movie centers around a specific moment in I guess U.S. culture and history at the time. But this has nothing to do with what we're currently experiencing now. And the way I looked at it, and the way I think you should look at it if you're planning to watch this movie, is think of a war film. Films that come to mind is like Full Metal Jacket, Born on the 4th of July, that movie that Michael J. Fox did way back in the day with Sean Penn. These are those type of movies where you are following a group of people during a wartime situation. And the war itself takes a back seat. So anything political, anything, that is happening between two sides or multiple sides, that is all the MacGuffin for the real story that they're trying to portray out there. And the real story that they're portraying is really what's happening with this group of people who are experiencing all this stuff happening around them. In this case, it is a group of journalists. This, in its core, in its center, is a movie about journalism. And those who go throughout these important moments in history, or they go throughout these war-driven countries or situations, and their job is to document and to capture everything that they're seeing happening around them. That's really what this movie is about. And when I talked about this movie with my friend Blake, who I do the Movie Time podcast with, and if you haven't had a chance to check that out, definitely check that out when you do have a chance. I just uploaded a new episode this morning where we went back and looked at all of Alex Garland's filmography for the movies that he's written and the movies that he's also directed. But this, in his filmography, he's never really written, nor has he really directed a movie that is so grounded and straightforward like this. And it was very refreshing to see, to be very honest with you. And it makes me wonder, I was like, oh, what else could he do that is not on the fantastical nature side of things, right? Because again, if you look at his filmography, Ex Machina was very AI driven, about AI and the relationship and morality between men and machine, right? Or men and computers, right? The morality behind all that. Now, a lot of people can say that this is something that is very poignant for today, because the whole discussion with AI and what's happening there, right? But then you can go to his next movie, Annihilation, more sci-fi driven, sci-fi based, right? You have an alien, not invasion, but I guess you could kind of see it as an invasion coming to Earth and exploring what exactly these aliens want and what they're trying to accomplish. Very sci-fi driven, very fantastical in a way. A movie like Men, like I said, also very, even though the messages in there are very poignant to a lot of society things today, it was done in a very fantastical way too. But this movie was just straight up, here are these group of journalists with this thing that's happening in the United States, and you're following them because all they want to do is document everything that's happening around them. And their main goal was to go over to DC and to have a chance to interview the president of the United States. Because according to them, they're saying that the president has not given any interviews or talking to any media for like 18 months or something like that, or ever since this conflict started happening in the United States. So there's these journalists who work for Reuters, who their mission was to get that first scoop, because it's getting dire out there, and they feel now's the time that the president should say something, should have a statement, something to go out to the public with, right? And that's basically what the gist of this movie is. Yeah. This is basically what is happening here, where you're following this group and saying, okay, what's going to happen to them because of everything that's happening around them. And the one thing that they don't do is they don't ever explain or tell you why the conflict is happening. Even though you get insights about, okay, there's this group from the West, which is basically a team up of California and Texas called the Western Foundation or the Western something, right? You have a North Carolina coalition that is also in the mix of things. You have a Florida kind of coalition in there as well, right? So you have a lot of these internal conflicts happening in the United States. And that's all you really know. They don't tell you how it happened, why it started. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Because this is just a scenario to put these group of people in, and you're following this group of people as they're documenting everything that's happening. A secondary thing you could say about this movie is that it also talks about the human condition and how humans are treated and treat each other based off of certain situations and conditions, right? Which is not new. Again, we've seen this happen before in other movies. Whenever there's like an apocalyptic movie, whether it's like, or a series like The Walking Dead, even when you go back and you look at 28 Days Later, you know, movies like that, they always explore that human element of it. How are humans treated? How do we take care of each other? Right? You know, especially when you have a country that is divided in more ways than one, right? You have Americans questioning other Americans as to what kind of an American are you, right? So it is very, very interesting overall. Angry old lady in the car put you on silence. Don't know what that is about, but no one's being silenced here. So, so I thought that was a very interesting way of telling a story like this. And it did remind me very much of, if you remember, or if you ever seen a movie like Full Metal Jacket. In a way, we're following these group of guys going through the Vietnam War. And it is very interesting to see all that happening through the eyes of those going through it. And it reminds me of the main Matthew Modine character. I believe it was Matthew Modine, right? Because even though he was a soldier, he was also kind of like a photographer or a reporter. And he was kind of chronicling a lot of stuff that happened around him. And it reminded me a lot of that, because you're getting a lot of that here. Shen, do you identify as Black? I do not. I am not. I am mixed nationality, but I am not Black. Star-Lord, what kind of American should an American be? That is not for me to say. But in this context of this movie, that is also something that is unclear. Because, again, you don't understand where this conflict originated from or how it all originated. Also, just to let anyone who's been watching this, I have two streams going on right now. I have the vertical stream going on, and I have the regular screen, the regular stream happening. So if you see me addressing certain people that you may not necessarily see in the chat, it's because they might be on a different feed. Just wanted to put that out there. You know, but I think at the end of the day, you should be the type of American that basically cares for each other, right? Don't ask you what kind of American you are. Okay, I won't. But overall, the way this movie was formulated was so well done and so engaging. I felt very engaged from beginning to end. And I already know that this is not going to be a movie for everybody. I think, and I truly do feel from within me, that people are going to this movie thinking and expecting everything to be politicized. You know, they're thinking and hoping that, or expecting that it's going to be a commentary on the political landscape that we're in right now. There are similarities, but at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with what this movie is going to be about. This movie, again, is about the group of journalists and them going through their journey to try to get a story and to document everything around them. And for that alone, I thought it was a very refreshing type of movie. It was very engaging. it's hard to say that I enjoyed the movie because the subject matter and things that happen is not what I would call enjoyable. But at the end of the day, it was a very well done movie that I really appreciated. And the performances were so good all throughout. Kristen Dunst, I think this is one of the best performances that she's had in a very long time. You know, and I'm not including or counting stuff like Spider-Man or whatever the case is. Like, I think one of the best movies she's ever done was Virgin Suicides way back in the day. Like, this reminded me of that type of performance. Kaylee Spaney, who I totally did not even recognize her for a while. And I was like, oh my God, this is Priscilla. Because I remember seeing her in Sofia Coppola's Priscilla as Priscilla Presley. She was fantastic in this movie. And it was nice to see her portray a different type of character. Because I like when I think of her name, when I hear about her, all I think about is Priscilla Presley. So it was really nice to see her outside of that. One of the best character actors out there now, who I spoke about recently because he was in Dune 1 and then nowhere to be found again in Dune 2. But I really like this actor because he shows up a lot in the background. And, he is one of those faces that you will recognize, but you may not necessarily know his name, or, you won't really dive so deep into who that guy is. And I hate this because I don't know why they make it so difficult for me just to look up cast here. But hold on, give me 1 second. Stephen McKinley Henderson. You may not recognize the name, but you definitely will recognize the face. He was also extremely good in this movie. Very, very good in this movie. Nick Offerman, who played the president, was pretty good, even though it was a very small role. And we do see Jesse Plemons, who is also in here. And he does his typical Jesse Plemons thing, where he is very scary. If you remember the trailer, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Very, eerie. You don't know exactly what he's thinking. Could be a borderline psychotic, but he is that type of person. Who also happens to be the husband of Kristen Dunst, right? But I think the performances were so good all throughout. The directing, it's Alex Garland. So I think this is probably one of his best shot films too. Great cinematography, great transitions. The one thing he does really well is he puts you in these tense moments where you're kind of gripping the sides of your seat, or you're like lean back and you're just very, very like tensed and anxious, and you feel a little bit of anxiety. So it was very, very well directed. And again, if you're familiar with his movies, then you're definitely going to appreciate this. But you're also going to notice how different it is from a lot of his other movies, which was, again, for me personally, very refreshing, extremely refreshing. And I really loved it. And I loved it so much, I gave it a 5 stars on Letterboxd. And of course, I hearted it because it definitely was a movie that I really, really liked. And I will say this is probably his best movie that he's ever directed. This is probably Alex Garland's best directed movie that he's ever had. So I won't be surprised if people are going to be talking about this movie for the next couple of weeks. I won't be surprised if somehow this movie comes up in some sort of consideration during the award season. I definitely won't be surprised if I hear Kristen Dunst's name or Kelly Spaney's name brought up with their association of this movie, because they should be, and they deserve to be in the conversation when that time comes around. But then we are very early in the year, so it is kind of hard to say what's going to happen when the rest of the year comes through. with all the other movies that we're going to be seeing. So it's going to be very, very hard to say where they will stack up and where they will stand once we see all these other performances. But at the end of the day, I think them two did a great job, and they should be very, very highly regarded as great actresses in this film. And yeah, it was just overall a really great movie. Really great movie. Well done. And like I said, if this is to be Alex Garland's final directed movie, final movie that he's going to be directing, what a way to go. What a way to go. And maybe for me personally, I would be a little bit disappointed that if we can get an Alex Garland movie like this, what else could we have gotten after this? Right? But maybe this was like a big task for him to put together. Something very, hard to do. Directing is not easy. And maybe he just prefers to just sit down and write. So if that's the case, then I think he should do whatever makes him feel better, and makes it so that his creative flow won't be disrupted, and he can do something nice or maybe he should do some collaborations. Maybe he should team up again with Danny Boyle. It'll be great to see that. Team up with, I don't know, an Ari Aster, or maybe team up with a Robert Eggers in the future. But if he's to go out here, again, great movie to do so. Star-Lord, I'm Cajun. Fight alligators on a daily basis, just because last. Even if you weren't kidding, I wouldn't put it past you. The Cajun sensation over there from Louisiana, Star-Lord. So yeah, so that's Civil War, Alex Garland. I'm not really gonna go into a lot of spoiler stuff here because I don't know. I'm gonna save that for my conversation with Blake about the movie. But I will say, if you're gonna be curious to know what happened with the president, or did they ever make it at the end? Yeah, they made it, and they got their scoop. But it's not the kind of scoop I think you're expecting them to get. But they got it, and I thought it ended in a way that was very well done. Very well done. And also at the same time, very bittersweet. So yeah. So that's what I'll say about that. All right. How's everyone doing out there? Everyone. Also, let me know if you're definitely planning on checking out Civil War this weekend. Be curious to hear everyone's thoughts about that stuff. Let's see here. All right. I think for now, I'm very curious. I wonder if I should stay streaming on Shorts. Maybe I will. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change. I'm going to do this. I'm going to change the title of the Shorts right now, because I'm not going to be talking about Civil War anymore, because I just did. But instead, I'm going to go into my thoughts on the latest episode of X-Men 97. Give me 1 second as I do that. I'm new to all this, so I do apologize for the dead air. All right. Just changed it. Bing, bang, boom. Bing, bang, boom. Bum, bum, bum. All right. So X-Men 97, episode 5. Oh boy. That's why Gambit. Yeah. So do you really, Starlord, do you really have like that Cajun accent? The whole shed and ho ho ho. And I apologize if it sounds like I'm making fun. I'm not. It's just, I'm not familiar with it. Oh, that's awesome. I think that's great. I kind of like that accent. But we in this episode we get a whole lot of Gambit in here. So I'm going to say this straight up. X-Men 97 episode 5. Now, if you remember my thoughts on episode 4, I felt like it was kind of a weird episode. It was like a 2-for-1 where I felt like we had 2 small episodes in one. We had a story that centered more around Jubilee and the new guy on the team, who I think is eventually going to be Sunspot, right? I think that's who this character is going to be. And then we got another mini episode that really dealt more with Storm and her dealing with the lack of the loss of her powers and meeting Forge and that relationship that they have there together with them. So it was kind of a weird 2-for-1 where at times it felt filler, and then at other times they were talking about important story plots, but you have so many plots going on right now, just like the original show, that it was kind of hard to gauge where they were really trying to focus on in episode 4. So I just thought it was okay. For the most part, it was okay. Episode 5. Woo! Now this is what we're talking about right here. This episode was probably by far one of the best episodes of the series so far. And it mainly centered around Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit. Now, we already know that they've established that there is a potential love triangle happening between Gambit, Rogue, and Magneto, right? And this kind of goes off the rails in that aspect. The majority of the episode takes place on Genosha, which we also learn that is now recognized by the UN as a safe haven, as a country, especially for mutants, right? And you have basically Magneto with Rogue and Gambit going to visit Genosha to have a meeting with the group leading Genosha and coming up with what they should do and all that kind of stuff. Prior to that, we still have a fallout because of what happened with Jean Grey. So Cyclops is still trying to grieve and figure things out between his relationship with the real Jean and not the Madeline Pryor Jean or the Goblin Queen, who is now on Genosha, right? But it also, we come to find out that there's like a little thing happening between him and the real Jean, questioning of like, well, do you love me? I don't know if it's you that I love, this and that, kind of like, I'm the real Jean, you should love me. And he's like, I love Jean, but I don't know if you're the Jean that I love. And all, but he's also worried and thinking about his son, who he had to give to Bishop to save, and Bishop went off into the future and all. So he's grieving the loss of his son. He's grieving the loss of his love, even though she's still there, kind of. Right? So we have a little moment with the real Jean Grey trying to figure things out, trying to figure out, are all of her memories real? Or if, they're just implanted there. So it's very interesting to see her going through all this. And then she had a moment with Logan, with Wolverine, because of course that whole love affair is never going away. They're always going to be constantly reminding us about that. Um, but then we also come to find out that Cyclops is still mentally communicating with Madeline Pryor. And I guess they're still having this thing with them. And Jean finds out, right? So Jean gets really upset about that, almost like he's mentally cheating on her, right? Um, and he tries to explain himself, and he's really like, "Look, I'm just worried about our son, and she technically is the mother of my son, and I was just checking in to make sure she's okay, and if she's doing well, you know." So there's always going to be the connection there. So I don't know where we're going as far as this love triangle is going. You have Cyclops who's in love with two versions of Jean Grey, you know, and that already alone is problematic. So there's nothing good that can come out of that, right? So we don't know where it's going to happen there, but that's definitely going to be something that's going to be explored. But the main focus of the story is happening on Genosha. You have Gambit, Rogue, and Magneto visiting. And I love this moment because as they're going there, we are seeing glimpses of other mutants that we are familiar with if you're familiar with X-Men, right? So during this whole time that they're there, we get to see the Dazzler hanging out over there. We got to see Multiple Man hanging out, dancing in the streets, you know, multiplying himself over and over again. Part of the council or whatever the group there that's leading this area. You have Banshee, that's part of it. You have the White Queen, who's part of it. You have that guy who looks like, I forget what his name is, but he has like the big mutton chops, and he's dressed like this Victorian type guy, and all that. And then we get to see Nightcrawler pop up, which was so refreshing. I'm like, oh, Nightcrawler is here. And that was so much fun, you know, and he was interacting with Gambit and Rogue, and like, oh my God, it's been a long time. And this got good to see you're doing well, and that you're not, you know, we're not here fighting priests and all that. Because if you remember the last time that they had interacted together, they were fighting off of like these crazy murderous priests that, you know, Nightcrawler was kind of associated with and all. So I thought it was funny, though, a nice little callback to all of that, which was a lot of fun to see, and and just to hear them communicate with everyone. So they're all having a good time, and they're trying to figure out, okay, who should be leading and who should be kind of representing the mutant community here on Genosha now that it's being recognized by the UN. And they said, well, Magneto should be, right? And that seems to be the conversation happening. And it's all about this thing about Charles chose you to take over the X-Men because he trusts you, right? And he trusts that you're going to do whatever it takes for you to take care of the mutant populace, to take care of the mutant community. And now he has to figure out, is this really what he wants to do? Right? Because he's always been a fighter. He's always been one of those like crusaders for the mutant cause. But he never really was like, he never, I guess, really thought about himself as a leader as a whole. Right? Yeah, he wanted to lead like his own group and to fight off against the humans and all that. But to properly represent the mutant nation, that's something that he had to think about. And if he's going to do it, he wants to do it right. Right? So he thinks that in order to do it right, he needs, if he's going to be the quote unquote king, he needs a queen. And he's going to ask Rogue to be his queen. Right? Separately, Nightcrawler, in his conversations with Gambit, can sense that Gambit is kind of depressed. And he's still love-stricken with Rogue. And Nightcrawler's basically telling him, you just gotta speak your mind. You just gotta like go up to her, tell her your feelings, and just marry her already. Because you only get a one shot at these things. And you might as well do it. And Gambit, he's like trying to put up a front. It's like, oh, you know, I am not one to be tied down, and you know, and I don't know if I'm doing the right accent. You know, Star-Lord would tell me. He's like, I'm a loner or a rebel, daddy. You know. But then he thinks about it and he's like, you know what? Maybe Nightcrawler's onto something here. Maybe I need to put myself out there. And so in order to do so, he like dresses up. He got his white tuxedo and he's looking all dapper and all that. And then Rogue shows up and he's like, oh, now is my chance, Cher. I'm going to tell you my feelings. Right? And Rogue's like, well, I got to tell you something too. So she finally spills the beans and tells him the entire history that she has with Magneto. And basically tells him that she's being asked to be his queen. Now, of course, Gambit's not happy about this. Right? He's like, oh, what are you going to do? Are you going to do it? And she's like, I don't know, but I do believe in this cause. And if it's going to help our mutant community and our mutant representation, then I think it's up to me to ensure that we can do that. And basically what Gambit's trying to ask her is like, are you really in love with Magneto to be his queen? You know, because love is just not surface level. It goes deeper than that. And Rogue thinks, you know, she still thinks that she has to do what she has to do. Right? So, of course, it breaks Gambit's heart. And it's like, well, we could be friends and all that stuff. But I don't want to just be friends. I want to sleep with you and da-da-da. So, Rogue shows up at this big gala event, all dressed to the nines, dances with Magneto, and of course, Gambit seeing this for the first time and seeing that they can touch each other without any problems, right? And he's like, oh, shit, my heart, oh. And I know I'm doing a really bad accent here. I know. I apologize, Star-Lord. I'm so sorry. And this part of the episode was very sexual in nature, because the way Magneto and Rogue were dancing, it was way too sexy for a kid's cartoon. It felt like what you would see like on a regular TV show. So it was really crazy to see it all happening. But anyway, so they decide to kiss, right? They make out. And then boom, it hits Rogue immediately. You know what? Gambit was right. Love is more than just this. It comes from deep inside. And I can feel that this is not going to work. Magneto's like, what? You're going to... What? I'm Magneto. You can touch me. He doesn't say all that, but you could tell that what he's thinking, right? And then while all this was happening, right, Clone Jean, who's just there hanging out, she just got, I guess, caught on the mental cheating. So she's, you know, she's trying to deal with it too. She's seeing this romance budding with Magneto and Rogue. She decides to take a breather, goes outside. And she basically was like, you know, trying to like take it all in. What's up, Caden? You want a like, sub, or both? Why not both? But only if you want to. I'm not asking you to do it just to do it. If you like what I'm doing here and you want to see more of that, then you like it and sub if you want to see more. If you don't, perfectly fine too. And that is my honest feeling. But thank you for asking. And nice to have you here. And thanks for chiming in. And then out of nowhere, Cable shows up. And Cable's like running through the streets, like, everybody needs to leave. Everybody needs to run. Blah, blah, blah. Frantic. And he sees Jean, Madeline Pryor, not the real Jean. And it's like, you got to get everyone out of here. And she's like, why? Like, shit's about to hit the fan. Well, he doesn't say all that, but basically that's what he's saying. It's like, danger's coming. And then she takes a moment, looks at his face. It's like, I recognize those eyes. Oh my God, it's Nathan, my son. You're all grown. I'm so happy you survived and things worked out. And Cable's like, uh-oh, because I guess he's on the timer. So now he's being zapped back to the future, right? And as he's being zapped, he's like, I'm sorry, mommy. Like that. Again, not exactly, but you get the gist of what's happening. So the minute he gets zapped back to the future, she realizes, oh, that's my son. He's like, oh, that's my mom. Well, he knew that. And Rogue just basically dissed Magneto in the middle of a dance floor. Bam! Shit gets fucked up. And this is like extinction, right? Level event where you have all these people getting wiped out all of a sudden. Rogue is trapped under a rock. She's wondering what's happening. Magneto's like dusting himself off, saying, what the fuck's going on? And now you see in the distance a three-headed, gigantic kaiju sentinel with a body of what looks like a cockroach. A giant cockroach. And this thing is going to town. It's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, all that stuff. So you have people like catching the business here, catching the business there, and they're like, we got to do something about this, right? So Gambit sees his opportunity. He's like, we got to go. We got to go, Shed. So he teams up with Rogue, and they're trying to like save people, and all at the same time trying to figure out what's happening with these guys. And then you have Magneto. It's like, oh, that's it. Now on my watch, brother. Right? Because not only is this Sentinel beast wrecking shop, but you also have a lot of these other Sentinels now dropping in on the ground. Kind of like doing their doing their shit. And they're not even capturing people. It looks like they're just trying to exterminate them. And it's not just mutants. Whoever they see, they're vaporizing. There's this one moment where you see the woman, the head of the UN, running with groups of people. It's like, this way, we got to make it to the sacred forest or whatever the case is. And zap, 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 zap. Holy shit. Right? And we don't know she got zapped herself. Because we don't get shown any of that. Oh, Star-Lord, I'm glad I'm getting close. I'm getting closer. I think it's like with practice, I'll get it, right? So you have so much craziness going on. You have Rogue fighting the Sentinels that are on the streets. You have Gambit fighting the Sentinels on the street. Great action. Great stuff happening, right? Everyone else is trying to help in and chip in, but you don't get to see any of the other X-Men there. Because this is all happening really quickly, and they have to act now, right? And at this point, I forget what happened. Well, I forgot what happened to Rogue. I think she got caught up trying to fight these other Sentinels on the ground level. And Remy, Gambit himself, is on his motorcycle, and he sees an opportunity to take this kaiju down, right? And mind you, Magneto is still fighting left and right. This kaiju is like really homing down on Magneto. His main target is Magneto. And Magneto is trying to save everyone around him. You got the Warlocks involved in there that he's trying to save and everything. Right? And there's this one moment where they shoot this like mega beam. Bam! And Magneto's just like everything he can do to try to stop it. Right? Everything he can do. And Rogue is like, oh no, he's going to die or something bad's going to happen and I need to help. And Magneto's like, nope. Kind of like Kevin Costner with Henry Cavill in Man of Steel. When Henry Cavill is like, Kevin had to go rescue the dog, the stupid dog that didn't want to come out of the car. And he had to go, come on, doggy, get the hell out of here. And then he gets his foot trapped. And Henry Cavill's like, oh no, I gotta save my dad. but then his dad doesn't want him to go because he doesn't want people to realize that he has the powers. So he basically tells him, no, stay there. I'll be fine. He gets whisked away in the tornado. And of course, you have Henry Cavill, Clark, just like, daddy. In a way, this was kind of like that, where you have Magneto holding off this mega beam. You got Leech on him, right? He's trying to save these people, and he doesn't want Rogue to get hurt because, secretly he does love Rogue. So he encapsulates Rogue in this like cocoon, but she can see what's happening in the little window, right? And big explosion. It looked like Magneto met his fate. And Rogue's like, no! I could have been a queen! Oh, she didn't say that. But all that was happening, and then Gambit saw his opportunity. So Gambit on his motorcycle is rolling up there with his staff and his cards, and this is the best action I've ever seen Gambit involved in anything. He wasn't quick enough. They got him right on the side. Stabbed him right on the side. And we're like, shit. They got Gambit. And then, of course, the Sentinels, this three-headed kaiju is just like, stupid. What do you think you're doing? And it's like, I know exactly what I'm doing. Because remember, anything he touches, he can like transform his kinetic energy to. And with this thing in him now, he's like, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Now all of the kinetic energy, he's now pushing through the Sentinel, the giant kaiju, and you just see the entire thing. Kinetic energy overflow. And he's just like, peace out, Chad. Big explosion. He's able to take down the giant kaiju. But at a cost. Because now, from what it appears, is that our favorite Raging Cajun is unfortunately dead. And the episode ends with him in the center of this giant crater. Rogue holding him. Very reminiscent to the death of Superman. If you remember that comic book, you saw Lois Lane holding Superman there on the ground. And she's like crying and touching his face. Magneto seems to be a little okay, but everything is focused and centered on this moment. And it fades to black with her saying, Remy, I can't feel you. Oh my God, the tears. Oh, what an episode. Because again, think about it. Rogue has the ability to touch anyone, and the powers transfer over to her, right? She absorbs the power of the person she touches. And that's one of the reasons why she could never be with Gambit, because whenever they tried, he would get sucked into her and he would like be lifeless. So for her to say that I can't feel you, meaning there's nothing there for me to feel, nothing there for me to absorb. Holy shit. Crazy. What an emotional roller coaster of a ride for this episode. And it was insane. And you knew something was going to go down because they did something in the background as kind of like a nod to the audience. Almost like, get ready. Things are about to go down. Because they showed the outside sky at one point during this whole celebration, during the gala. Right before Rogue showed up, right before, Madeline Pryor, so Cable. In the distance in the sky, you see an outline. That was the Watcher. And you know, as we've learned through the comic books, through the animated shows, through What If, whenever the Watcher's there, he's there to observe a major event that's about to happen, a turning point to any story. He's always there to observe. So the minute you saw his outline show up, and I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, was that the Watcher? Uh-oh. Something's about to go down. And boy, did it ever. Boy, did it ever. Wow. What an episode. 5-star episode this was. 5 freaking stars. Unbelievable. Unreal. Unreal. Now, of course, the lingering questions is Magneto okay? Need to figure that out. Who really got hurt on Genosha during this event? Is the Dazzler okay? Is Nightcrawler okay? Is Banshee okay? Anyone that we saw, how is everyone? Is that the head of the UN, that lady, is she all right? But number one main question is, who did this? Who set up this attack? Who set up this thing? That is the big number one question. And I'm not going to spend my time here to kind of analyze or speculate right now, because I'm still reeling from the effects of what happened in this episode. And what an episode. Again, what an episode. It was so well done. So emotional at the end. Holy cow. You know, and you know, I've criticized, but it's a good criticism, that the dialogue is very fast. There's no breaks. You know, I kind of made fun of the previous episode where it's just like, oh, by the way, call me Madeline Pryor. It just came out of nowhere, right? I kind of joked about that stuff. You know? But the way they paced the dialogue at the end of this episode to really hone in on that emotional moment between Rogue and Gambit, that was so brilliantly done. You know, kudos to them for recognizing that this is something they had to do for that one moment. Very amazing way to end this episode. Really, really loved it. So yeah, episode 5 of X-Men 97. So far, this series has been must-watch TV every week for me. And I don't do that often for a lot of shows these days. But yeah, amazing, amazing stuff. Really good. Yeah. So if you watched it, if you are watching this on a replay or what have you, definitely let me know your thoughts on the episode. If you liked it as much as I did, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Entertaining, but also very emotional at the end. So good. So good. Whew. All right. What? Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm just going to check to see if I got any notifications or anything. I'll play some checking the phone music. All right, well, all that's said and done. Let's see here. Just looking at some things. So I think now is a great time. I think right now I'm also going to bid adieu to the shorts feed. So anyone who has been watching or has watched on the shorts feed, thank you so much for tuning in. It's my first time doing it, so hopefully it was entertaining enough. Um, if you want to follow the rest of the stream or check out the usual streams, check out the channel. You could see the full stream there and all that. So peace out, y'all. I'll see you again next time. Oops. All right, and that feed is done. That was interesting. I don't know what the results were there, but I did see some people come in. Again, this is my first time doing this, so I will experiment more with that kind of formatting. And it's just nice to know that I can do these concurrent. Because it's not something that I've ever experimented with before. Well, I experimented before with like live streaming concurrently on different platforms. Like there was this one moment where I didn't realize I was streaming on YouTube and Twitch at the same time until like halfway through my stream. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize I was on Twitch. I didn't have any chat open and all that. So I don't know if anyone was trying to talk to me at the time. So I remember I just basically said, sorry, guys. If I missed your chat, my bad. Not one of my best moments. So I like it. It feels like a multiverse. Oh, thank you. That's good to hear. Wow. Okay. Now, Starlord, did you check out the feed at all? The shorts feed? I'm just curious if you looked at it. And I guess this is just to show why maybe what I'm thinking is correct. That was just an hour, I think, or just under an hour that I streamed live on the shorts feed. And no, I'm lazy. No, it's all good, man. It's all good. Within that hour, I had 97 views. That is crazy. And I'm going to leave it up for a while to see what other stuff, what other kind of views I get after the fact. But if for an hour streaming on the shorts feed, I got almost 100 views. Wow. I guess I should have done this a while ago, huh? Hachi Machi, that is insane. Give me 1 second. I am just sorry, guys. Just give me 1 second. I'm just fixing some stuff here on my end. Started saying we're trying new things today. Less is more. I see that you're constantly self-moderating, which I think is interesting. Um, but like I said before, don't feel like you have to do that all the time, because I have not seen anything that should not have been said or whatever. Uh, you're good, in my opinion. All right. I'm definitely going to be curious to see what's going to happen when I leave this up for a while. I may sunset it after a couple of days, but I'm just going to leave it up to see what happens. But unbelievable, 97 views in just an hour. And look at this, peak concurrent viewers, 18. Wow. Wow. Unbelievable. All right. Well, I guess I guess I know what I'll be doing more what I'll be doing more in the future. That's insane. Okay. Well, look, at the end of the day, I just hope it leads to more engagement, more community, more conversation. That's all I really care about. At the end of the day, that's all I really care about. So it's a good experiment to have. And I'm glad I did it. And we'll see what happens moving on from this, because that's a lot of good information I just got in a very short period of time. Okay. So let's talk about CinemaCon. All right, we'll close off the morning talking about CinemaCon here. So CinemaCon, I've mentioned it before. I'll recap again what this thing is. This is the annual event that happens in Vegas every year. It is the time for movie theater owners, chains, all that stuff to gather together to kind of quote unquote meet with studios and for the studios to really showcase all their upcoming projects for the next year, to get movie theaters, the owners and those who work in the movie theater industry excited for what is to come this year. It's also an industry event where all theater chains and those within the movie theater industry can talk amongst themselves, talk about what's to expect for the upcoming years, business stuff, all those things. So it's like a convention, like any other convention. That was E3 for the video game industry for a very long time, and other businesses, they have their own conventions that go through the same stylings and formats and all. So what happens now every year is that these studios will provide additional details on the upcoming projects, maybe provide new footage on movies that are coming out soon, new trailers, new insights, surprise reveals, all this stuff. So it's become an event to really cover now every year. And I've mentioned before, this is one of those things that I've always wanted to go to ever since I first heard about it, maybe 4 or 5 years ago for the first time. Again, loving movies and loving what I do, especially now that I'm doing it now. This has always been an event that I would love to go to, but it's only for movie theater industry professionals or studio professionals or press, right? So hopefully I'm going to get to that point where I could be like, yeah, I have a solid channel that can cover this type of stuff. I would love to go and cover the event. So until I can do that, I am now just going to be spending my time recapping it and talking about things that are exciting out of these events. Unless it's in chat conversation. Starla, what are you referring to? I'm just curious. So the event itself is like 3 days, 3 or 4 days, and each studio had their own panel. So first up, we had Universal Pictures. Was the first major studio with their panel. And basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through all the major reveals, conversations, and all of that stuff. The self-moderation. Oh, okay. Got it. So Universal Pictures, one of the first things that they confirmed is that they are going to be working on a Five Nights at Freddy's sequel coming in fall of 2025. So I know a lot of fans of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise were really excited for the movie to come out. And I'm pretty sure this is great news for them. The numbers this thing did was unexpected because it was day and date release. So meaning you could watch this in the theaters and you could also watch this at home on Peacock the same weekend it came out. And the conversation and the narrative before was that anytime a studio did that, it took away a lot of money from, or potential money from the box office for people going out to watch their movie in the theater, because most people prefer to just watch it at home now. However, this one defied all that because they did very decent, better than expected at the box office when it came out that weekend. So that went against the grain. So not surprising that they're going to do a sequel there. I remember I enjoyed it. It was okay. I have no ties to the franchise because I've never played the game yet. So it wasn't anything that I was really, hyped up about. But when I saw it, I was like, okay, it's not bad. It's decent. Especially for a movie that I looked at it as a streaming platform movie made for streaming. I don't think it was personally made for the big screen, but I'm glad that people went out to see it too. It also helped that it came out around Halloween. So everyone always loves to go to the movie theaters during Halloween to watch a horror movie. That is like a nice outing, right? So it's always good to see that stuff. So that was one of the things that they dropped. They also talked about Twisters, the new movie coming out this summer from Lee Isaac Chung, which is a sequel to the original movie Twister. Universal debuted new footage for the legacy sequel Twisters. Hold on, let me share my screen here. Twisters at CinemaCon. Daisy Edgar Jones, Glenn Powell, and Anthony Ramos each play storm chasers who are trying to figure out how to prevent more damage from happening during extreme Oklahoma storm season in their own different ways. Let's see. They're saying they're combining a lot of practical and impractical methods to disrupt a tornado from inside. Blah, 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 this and that. So I think what they did here, from what I'm hearing, is that they released some new footage or a sizzle reel to show a lot about that stuff. So team's plan is, total destruction is shown on screen, from trucks flying straight through buildings and entire towns being blown apart to pieces. The footage ends with a massive tornado hitting an industrial plant where it looks like it's oil and flames combining to make a massive firestorm unlike anything we have seen in Mother Nature. I think we saw a little bit of that in the trailer, but looks like they got an extended version of that. Next up, we have Despicable Me 4, which has come out in July. Universal Pictures showed an entire scene from Illumination's highly anticipated sequel, Despicable Me 4. Steve Carell's Gru now has a baby son named Gru Jr. The scene CinemaCon attendees got to see featured Gru Jr. and a new young character voiced by Joey King named Poppy, who is described as an aspiring villain. Gru is acting like a mentor to Poppy, breaking into a giant medieval castle for a heist with her by his side. The only problem is that the minions are there with them on this mission, acting like the worst babysitters you could imagine for Gru Jr. The young Poppy is a mega fan of many of the famous villains of this franchise, but her excitement seems to get the best of her. So that's pretty much just what explains how that footage is. Sounds interesting and fun. Wild Robot is from DreamWorks, coming this September from Chris Sanders. That's how it looks like there, Wild Robot. Not to be confused with Bad Robot. But CinemaCon got to see exclusive footage from DreamWorks' Wild Robot. Lupita Nyong'o voices the titular inquisitive robot named Roz, who is seen crash landing on a remote island full of rich forest. The lonely robot seeks to fulfill its programming by eating human life, but there are no humans to be found. Instead, the island's various talking animals come to meet the robot, which disrupts its function since it is not programmed to interact with animals. We meet a talking fox, voiced by Pedro Pascal, who tries to guide the robot and introduce it to the rest of the critters, which includes bears, possums, deer, and geese. Interesting stuff there. That sounds interesting. Wolfman, that is expected to come out on my birthday in 2025. CinemaCon got their first look at Lee Whannell's Wolfman, which is still in the earliest days of shooting. Christopher Abbott plays a troubled father who is trying to protect his young daughter on a remote cabin in the woods. Ozark's Julia Garner seems to be playing the mother role, as no other characters are shown besides these three. Abbott is extremely paranoid about a danger that seems to be stalking his family from outside of their home. It's teased that it's some kind of large dog, which Abbott is eventually bit by on the arm. As Christopher Abbott starts to slowly transform for the first time out of frame, Julia Garner's mother's character grabs her daughter away slowly in fear. There's a real sense of irony as Abbott is now becoming the very threat he is trying to protect his daughter from. It's implied that this story then takes a turn as mother and daughter versus father. Ooh. It's a modernized take on Universal Classics' Wolfman. And even though CinemaCon didn't get to see the creature, it is teased via shadow that it could be more in line with the traditional design of the Wolfman walking upright. So that sounds fun and interesting. I wonder if this could reinvigorate the whole Universal Monsters thing that they're trying to do. Lee Whannell, is that the same? Hold on. This director name is very familiar to me. Hold on. Let me see. Lee Whannell. I knew it. This is the same director from The Invisible Man, which is a great, great movie. I was so pleasantly surprised on how good this movie was. So you got the same director now directing Wolfman. Wow, that is fascinating. That he's going to be touching those two properties. Could this be now the director that's going to touch a lot of the classic Universal remakes? I don't know, man. But that sounds like a lot of fun. Wicked, coming out in November, directed by John Chu. CinemaCon attendees got an extended look at John M. Chu's Wicked. The footage begins with the voice of Ariana Grande's Glinda. Are people born wicked, or do they have wickedness thrust upon them? With a few of the same establishing shots of Oz, Glinda, and Cynthia Erivo's Elphaba from the first trailer. This time, we get a first look at Michelle Yeoh's headmaster, Madame Morrible, assigning Elphaba to be roommates with Glinda at Shiz University in the Land of Oz. The iconic song Popular begins to play in the background. There's also a quick look at Dr. Dillamond, a CGI goat in fancy attire, voiced by Peter Dinklage, instructing a class. There are more university scenes with Elphaba and Glinda combat training. Glinda gives Elphaba a makeover. In a scene with Bowen Yang's Fanny, he makes a comment about a black witch hat that he finds in Glinda's stuff. She says it used to be her granny's and she'd only give it to someone she hates. Elphaba enters the room and she offers it to her. We then get the first shot of Elphaba putting on the iconic hat in the middle of the ballroom. Elphaba receives a letter to meet the wizard in Emerald City, since she proves to have the most potential with her magic skills. As Elphaba hops on a train, she begs Glinda to join her, and she doesn't hesitate to join her and jump on the train. There are glimpses of Jeff Goldblum as the Wizard of Oz. Oh my God. It's so funny that Goldblum is playing the Wizard of Oz, because I always saw that character very similar to his character that he played in Guardians of the Galaxy, because it's kind of like almost like a similar type of character. So that's funny that he's doing that. CGI purple flying monkeys. Elphaba says to the wizard, "You have no real power," to which he replies, "That's why I need you." We then cut to her running away from the wizard. Defying gravity begins to play in the background. We see Glinda in her pink dress inside a large bubble. Madame Morrible declares Elphaba the enemy. We see a giant nasty poster of Elphaba depicting her with evil eyes and sharp teeth. being revealed in front of a large crowd with a large burning wooden statue of the Wicked Witch in the middle of a city square. Elphaba is then given her witch's broom for the first time. Finally, Glinda and Elphaba are at a large open window, and as Elphaba escapes on her broomstick, she states, "It's the wizard who should be afraid of me." Dun dun dun. Star-Lord, I knew I recognized him in the trailer. Yeah, good old Goldblum. That sounds like that's going to be a very interesting movie. You know, again, I'm not a fan of Ariana Grande. You know, I don't know how her acting chops are going to be like in this, but we'll see. At the end of the day, I enjoyed the play, the production. I thought it was very well done. I think the story is interesting. I never read the book, which I heard is very fleshed out. So I'm hoping that this could be a good mix between the musical and the book, because I hear a lot of great things about the book. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm sure this is going to be a huge hit with families this year. Next up, from Focus Features, who is a subsidiary of Universal, I believe, Nosferatu, which is one of my most anticipated movies of this year because it's directed by Robert Eggers. And he is one of my favorite directors. I've mentioned him before also earlier in the show. CinemaCon got to see the very first trailer for Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, a bold new reimagining of the classic horror tale. The trailer opens with Lily Rose Depp as Ellen Hunter saying, "Come to me, hear my call." Right before a hand reaches out to grab her, she goes on to say, "Evil comes from beyond," and tells Willem Dafoe's Professor Albin Eberhard von Franz. Wow, what a name. Professor Albin Eberhard von Franz, sporting a giant white beard, that he is coming to us while laying in a hospital bed plagued by some kind of sickness. We then cut to the atmospheric shots of 19th century Germany, quick glimpses of a Gothic castle, a horrifying cemetery, the local city and its many citizens carrying around coffins. Throughout all of this, we see Nicholas Holt's Thomas Hutter run away from some kind of danger. The real money shot of the trailer is the image of Nosferatu's crooked hand, you know, that crazy crooked hand going over the town as a gigantic shadow and covering it in darkness, only then to cut to Anna Harding with the blood all over her face. Willem Dafoe's character, chewing up the scenery like a madman, starts rallying up townsfolk to face our dark evil. He's then surrounded by thousands of rats, and real rats from what they're saying here, in an old mausoleum. We are here encountering the vampire. Dafoe says before opening up a coffin. We see a side profile of Nosferatu's iconic hook nose, but don't get to see Bill Skarsgård's face. This is followed by a visual of his dark and imposing silhouette floating down a giant hallway. The trailer ends with Dafoe's character seemingly coming face to face with this creature when he chillingly says, "Nosferatu." I can't wait for that trailer. That sounds like very much up my alley, and it just sounds fantastic. I can't wait to see that. That's going to be very, very interesting to see. So that is Universal's / Focus Features there. The next studio to have their panel was Warner Brothers. And of course, we're going to start off here with Furiosa, which is coming out this May, directed by George Miller. Huge cast here. They had exclusive footage that was shown to audiences there. Looks like several new footage broken up into 3 different parts. Her odyssey begins. Furiosa as a young child. So they're going to show a lot of that stuff. The warrior awakens. An older Furiosa, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. Blah, blah, blah. So we get to see a little bit of that. And then ride into revenge. Furiosa on her plight to get revenge on Dementus, while at the same time escaping the other zealots and Krays. So they got a lot of great footage that they got a chance to see. So that's awesome for them. Then, of course, we get Joker Folie à Deux, where we already got the first teaser trailer that was released online already. So they got to see that. And I know Todd Phillips was talking a bit about it. So that was the main presentation there. Then, of course, Beetlejuice. September 6th release here by Tim Burton. They got to see exclusive footage at CinemaCon there. So, new extended trailer for Beetlejuice was shown. It begins the same way as the initial trailer that's already been released, with Jenna Ortega riding on a bike into town. Cut to Jenna Ortega finding an ad paper promoting Beetlejuice. Oh, sounds very familiar, like in the original movie. Winona Ryder, dressed in black, says, "I can't believe I'm doing this. Beetlejuice. Then cutting to a montage which teases new information on the plot. Lydia, the living and the dead, can they coexist? That's what we're going to find out." That's what she says. She is seen in Beetlejuice's office in a plaid dress with her mouth stitched up. Some claymation is shown, including the iconic sandworm. Jenna Ortega is seen in a white dress and heading to the place of the dead. Uh-oh. Is Beetlejuice going to try to marry now her daughter? What? What's happening? From what's implied, it seems like Winona Ryder's Lydia Dietz is left with no choice but to summon Beetlejuice in order to retrieve her daughter from the land of the dead. Oh, I see. Okay. Willem Dafoe, who plays some kind of undead overseer with a metal plate on his head, looks after Beetlejuice and isn't happy to see him back in the land of the living. The rest of the footage showcased the various imaginative practical effects used in this legacy sequel, like puppetry and animatronics. As previously said, the movie does bring back stop-motion claymation like the original and is filled with Easter eggs and callbacks. That sounds like that's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. That sounds like it's going to be a fun time for fans of the original, and I'm sure it's going to be entertaining for new people too. So I think that's going to be great. The Watchers. This is M. Night. Oh, this is the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan, Ishana Night Shyamalan. This is her debut there. Exclusive footage was shown to the audiences there. Sneak peek at the next trailer for The Watchers, which finally gives more details on what this horror story is about. Dakota Fanning plays a shady young woman who gets stuck in a remote Irish forest while on a road trip. She discovers that there's an ancient dark force at play, mysterious monsters who keep annoying people trapped in the forest and play mind tricks on them. No one has seen what they look like, but what we do see from there, almost witch-like designs, draws from Celtic folklore. 3 other people who are stuck in the forest, Dakota's character, each having been trapped for different amounts of time. All 4 main characters are tested in various ways by the terrifying monsters who are teased to have been playing these twisted games for centuries. So that's going to be an interesting debut of Ishana's movie there. Beetlejuice doesn't really want to get married. He wants to be free from the land of the dead. He doesn't look like the husband type. No, he doesn't. But like you said, he's always going to find his way to get out and be free from the land of the dead. So that's going to be really interesting how they're going to play upon that. Trap. So we're getting 2 movies from the Shyamalan family. We got the daughter Shyamalan and we got father Shyamalan. Trap is the next movie from M. Night. Teaser trailer was released to the audience there. Suspense tale set mainly inside a pop concert taking place at a huge stadium. Josh Hartnett played a father who takes his daughter to see a singer named Lady Raven. They have floor seats, which is basically his daughter's dream come true, to see one of her favorite artists to close. Josh Hartnett leaves his daughter to go to the bathroom and notices lots of police outside of the venue. He asks someone working at a merch booth why there are a bunch of cops posted everywhere. The worker creepily tells him about a killer known as the Butcher, who's known to kidnap and chop up fans. It's revealed that this whole concert is a trap to finally capture him and bring him to justice. Josh Hartnett, with a creepy, knowing smile, looks at the camera, implying that he himself is the actual Butcher killer, who is now devising a plan to escape the concert with this information. In true Shyamalan fashion, it's a massive twist within a twist. Ooh, that sounds fun. But is that the real twist there? We don't know. So that's really interesting to hear. Mickey 17 is the next movie from Bong Joon-ho, director of Parasite. This was pushed back all the way to January 31st. And this is supposed to be starring Robert Pattinson, if I remember correctly. and they got treated to a first trailer there. Let's see. The director describes his sci-fi film as a simple man's story. Robert Pattinson plays a common man named Mickey with a nerdy American accent who signs up to be an expendable in the future. He travels to distant planets and space stations doing handiwork, but the caveat is what he's expected to die. Oh, is that he's expected to die doing these difficult missions. Each time he dies, a new clone is made and then given a new assignment. The title of the movie draws from this, as he dies 17 times in the plot. Everything goes well with Mickey getting eaten and chopped up into different pieces across space. Things take a turn when two clones get made at the same time, Mickey 17 and Mickey 18. Hey, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. Hey, Mickey. Across the trailer, we are introduced to supporting cast like Steven Yeun, fellow worker who's interested in Mickey's life of constantly dying. Mark Ruffalo plays a futuristic crazed dictator-like character who is married to Toni Collette. Look at that. That sounds interesting. I did see one comment from someone on Twitter when they saw the trailer. It sounds like this guy was not happy with how the trailer looked. And his comment was like, I see now why this movie was pushed back. Rough. So I don't know, but I myself am fascinated, interested in checking this movie out myself because I am a huge fan of Bong Joon-ho's, his movies. Parasite was fantastic. What was the other one? The Maiden was another great movie of his. So I think this director is great. So and this cast sounds fantastic. So this sounds like this could be another winner for him. Next up, we have Lionsgate. Lionsgate, which I heard had a great showing here. So let's recap it real quick. New Lionsgate films confirmed at CinemaCon. A new Highlander movie directed by Chad Stahelski, who is the director of the John Wick franchise. So that's interesting. A live-action adaptation of the famous Naruto anime, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. Wow. They're really going forward with that one, huh? Now You See Me 3. Oh, really? Directed by Ruben Fleischer, starring the original cast with a new generation of magician thieves. Why does this movie get more movies? That movie sucked. I hated Now You See Me. Anyway, a remake of The Blair Witch Project, produced by Jason Blum and Blumhouse. And then a live-action Monopoly movie produced by Margot Robbie and her Lucky Chap production company. I feel like right now Margot Robbie is... she's taking all the major like kid franchises and now she's trying to do movies with all of them. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm so curious as to how all that's going to pan out. But I think out of the news here, the Naruto movie sounds very fascinating to me. And Highlander. That sounds... Blair Witch Project, I don't know why they keep going back to that well. That was like a moment in time. Lightning in the bottle. They're never going to recapture that same moment ever again. So I don't know why they keep going back to that. So, updates on The Crow. I know it's pushed back. I think it's coming out in August now. It was supposed to come out in June, but they pushed it back. But they gave attendees a sneak peek at the movie. They ensured that this new take isn't meant to compete with the original 1994 movie starring Brandon Lee. The new footage puts a strong focus on the romance between Bill Skarsgård's Eric Draven and FKA Twigs' Shelley Webster. Just like in the original movie, their romance blooms until she is unexpectedly killed by a dangerous mob group. However, in this take of The Crow, what motivates Eric is more than simple revenge. He's told by a supernatural guardian that he can actually save Shelley before her soul reaches the underworld. That's different. Wow, really? Okay. Save Shelley. So he's going to sacrifice himself so that she can be saved. Well, that's taking romance and love to a whole other level. All right. Because right now, Shelley's in a state of purgatory, visually depicted as her drowning in an endless body of water, with her spirit getting closer to being lost forever as she sinks deeper. We see a montage of Eric Draven healing powers as he gets shot and cut up numerous times and even gets run over by a massive truck, only to get back up again, fueled by his mission to save his lover's soul. You have the powers of a god, he's told by the Guardian, who guides him as he learns how to use his new powers given to him by the Crows. All right, well, that's interesting. The footage is grungy in the same vein as the original film and much more gothic than the first official trailer. Much more gothic, huh? Because one of the more common criticism of the trailer was that it didn't feel gothic at all. So if that's true, that's going to be interesting to really see that, if that is true. All right, we shall see. Borderlands. This is the movie directed by Eli Roth based off of the video game franchise that's coming out. Huge cast in this one. And I have to say, Cate Blanchett looks foxy as hell in this movie. Oofa. Oofa, oofa. Star-Lord, I love the Highlander. Are they going to do another Kurgan like the first movie? I don't know. That'll be really interesting to see how they're going to address that. What take are they going to have on this? Because, yeah, Highlander is a classic, man. But I don't know what they're going to go with this one. So I guess we'll see as more news comes out about it. Audience members got treated to new footage, giving a little bit more information about the plot. Legend has it that there's some treasure hidden on the worst planet imaginable. Cate Blanchett says, "Do you know how many people have died looking for this vault?" Right before they drive through a giant alien worm, Jamie Lee Curtis teases that the treasure in the vault has the power to change things for the better. Then we get a montage of the colorful action of the film, which includes Jack Black's Claptrap wheeling around through massive action set pieces and Kevin Hart throwing an explosive stuffed bunny at a gang of goons. So, interesting. He was terrible but funny. It's been so long since I watched that first Highlander. I should probably revisit it sometime soon. Next up, we have The Strangers, Chapter 1. This is directed by Renny Harlin. Oh my God. Renny Harlin. What was the last movie this guy directed? Jesus. What? The Bricklayer? What the hell was that? Refuge? Oof. This guy's trying to relive his youth. My goodness. All right. Well, let's see what he has in store for us here. Renny. For The Strangers, Chapter 1. They provided a sneak peek to the audiences there. The film is described as an origin story of how the strangers came to be. We see Madeline Page from Riverdale as the movie's innocent protagonist entering a cabin in the woods. Suddenly, someone appears behind her as if she starts to play the piano. She and her partner hear strange knocks at the door. When she looks through the keyhole, an axe almost chops her head straight through the door. We then get a montage of the duo trying to escape as the strangers come in, followed by cuts of the strangers tormenting the leads in various horrifying ways. The footage presents a film that is much darker and pulse-pounding than some audiences are probably expecting, ensuring that fans of the original will be satisfied. Now, the first Strangers that came out, was that... Who starred in that movie? Was that Liv Tyler in the first Strangers movie? I never seen it, but it's funny how they're telling now this like origin tale of the Strangers, and it's going to be Chapter 1. I wonder if it's like Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 if they have it set up. So I don't know. Next up here we have Never Let Go, directed by Alexandra Aja. It's a new horror film starring Halle Berry. The story centers around only 3 people, Barry's mother character and her 2 twin sons, who live in an extremely unique situation in the middle of a remote forest. They lock themselves indoors and try their best to avoid going outside, except for resources and the occasional fresh air. They have ropes tied around their waists at all times when they're outside, which lead back to the house in case they stray too far. The reason why they tie themselves to ropes is because there is a mysterious monstrous force that lives in the forest. The few glimpses we see of the beast make it look like a pale human-like demon who can shapeshift. As the two boys are forced to follow their mother's strict rules to survive, they grow more suspicious of what the forest demons' motives really are, as it's being toying with them their whole lives. One of the boys says, "Mom has never lied to us," which further ignites their distrust of their overprotective mother. Oh, that's interesting. What if this whole thing is like an allegory of an overprotective mom saving her sons from their father? I feel like it's kind of like that type of message. I don't know. That's what it kind of feels like to me. Very interesting. The boys wonder if they could untether themselves from the rope, but as soon as they do, one of them gets dragged into a well by the creature. The look and aesthetics of Never Let Go feel in line with other post-apocalyptic survival thrillers like A Quiet Place and Bird Box, all with a sinister undertone. The footage ends with Barry's mother heading into the woods to look for her kids, and then she sees a demon climbing up a large tree trunk, only seeing the horrifying image of a set of hands multiplying over and over again from the back of the trees as it climbs upwards. Bomb, 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 bomb. Interesting. All right. Next, we have The Gray. Well, Guy Ritchie has been on a roll, man. Doesn't he already have a movie coming out in the next couple of weeks? But this new one, The Gray, is coming out again on my birthday next year. Wow, my birthday is going to have multiple movies for me to enjoy. Lionsgate revealed Guy Ritchie's new film, following the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. The Gray stars Henry Cavill, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Eiza Gonzalez as a ragtag team of misfits who come together for a shared mission of fame and revenge. The film's tagline is, "When billions are stolen, they are the ones who steal them back." The team is coming after a notorious kingpin with funny quips and banter shared between the three leads. The action includes speedboat races, car chases in a tropical setting. Ritchie's signature comedy charm is present with Cavill and Gyllenhaal's macho characters chewing up the scenery. We also have a quick glimpse of a mysterious character played by Rosamund Pike. Big fan of that. So what is Henry Cavill's like Guy Ritchie's new muse? Because he's also starring in the next movie coming out too, right? Interesting. This is the one I've been waiting for. John Wick presents Ballerina. This is with Ana de Armas. An angel she is. But this is coming out this summer. Lionsgate debuted the first ever footage from John Wick spin-off Ballerina. We see origins of Ana de Armas' new lead as she's taken in by the Ruska Roma crime family and trained to be an elite assassin. She admires John Wick from a distance as he grows in notoriety in his own story, but doesn't get to actually meet him face to face until she goes on her own adventure. The snowy setting implies that our ballerina travels to Russia to dive deeper into her story and connections to another rival crime family whom she is seeking to destroy from the inside out. In this journey, she meets another grungy-looking assassin played by Norman Reedus. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Who warns her that she might be in over her head with her ambitions. The action of Ballerina is on par with the rest of the Wick franchise, with Ana de Armas clearly being active in her own insane stunts, which she already has displayed in the past. I mean, I keep saying this over and over again. I really want to see her do more action because she can really pull it off. And she's good at it. So I'm happy to hear this and to see that she's going to be doing that. We see her pop other assassins' bones out of their elbows with her brute force, but burn goons alive with huge flamethrower while on top of vehicle driving in the snow, and stuff grenades in her foes' mouths during fight sequences. Since the spin-off takes place between the third and fourth John Wick films, Ana de Armas gets to share the screen with Keanu Reeves without breaking continuity. She calls for the Baba Yaga while on her quest, and he arrives in an epic shot of him coming off a train in the snow. She asks John Wick, "How do I start doing what you do?" His simple answer is, "It looks like you already have." God, that was bad, Keanu. You blew it! All right, let me do that over again. So here's Ana de Armas as the ballerina. "How do I start doing what you do?" Because doesn't she have like an accent? And here's Keanu's John Wick. It looks like you already have. There you go. So that is Ballerina. I cannot wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Very exciting. Now, this one, Michael. There were two major reactions this week at CinemaCon where I just saw like my feed blow up because of what they saw. This was one of them. And the other one is Gladiator 2, the new movie from Ridley Scott, which I was surprised because I was like, Gladiator 2, that can't be any good, right? That's like another cash grab or whatever. But no. Big reactions of those two. So here, Michael, which is the biopic of Michael Jackson that's being directed by Antoine Fuqua. And this is what they closed out their panel with. They did a presentation, a first look at the movie. Michael's own nephew, Jafar Jackson, portrays him in the film. The footage covers all of the iconic eras from Jackson's career, starting with his humble beginnings in the Jackson 5, with the hit song ABC playing in the background. When we see a montage that goes from the Jackson 5 performing on television to Michael Jackson in his Thriller era, we see Michael's iconic white socks and black shoes as he's dancing while singing Bad. Fans will be excited to know Jafar Jackson sounds just like his uncle, nailing all the vocal cadences when delivering dialogue. Wow, that's awesome. Michael Jackson is then shown in the late stages of his career after one of his accidents, with visible pale skin, long curly hair, a black fedora, face mask, and sunglasses, getting flanked by security. He's walking towards a car while a crazy crowd of rabid fans and paparazzi scream to get a photo, with some people even jumping on his car to get a glimpse at him. Cut back to his young youth when Michael's mom tells him, as she's wiping a tear off his face, "You were never like everyone else." We then get a close-up of Michael's finger snapping, performing Man in the Mirror, to a massive concert crowd. We also get quick shots of young Michael singing Thriller records with his short hair and iconic red jacket. Then there's a glimpse of Michael with his face wrapped in gauze on a stretcher being led into the hospital. Yeah, this probably was after the Pepsi commercial. The trailer directly confirms that this biopic will address the controversy of Jackson's career. Wow. The next image is of Michael on the balcony, which could be the baby dangling incident. I remember that. There's a quick shot of Michael sitting at a piano and taking a pill. We see quick glimpse of Nia Long and Coleman Domingo as Michael's parents in his youth. The trailer ends with a shot of Michael in the white shirt, black pants combo, performing in front of hundreds of fans. Jafar Jackson nails all of the dancing in the footage shown and is seen in various layers of makeup as the film traverses the different stages of Michael's life. That sounds fascinating. And the one thing I said before when I heard about this being made is that I asked, are they going to cover everything? Are they going to shy away from covering the controversies and the questionable stuff? And it sounds like they may be going all in on this one. And if that's the case, if that's true, then color me excited, because that's going to be really, really fascinating. All right. Moving on, Paramount, with a huge set of announcements made here from Paramount. So, new Paramount Pictures films confirmed at CinemaCon. A new installment in the Scary Movie franchise. They are bringing that back. Why? I have no idea. But if you're a fan of Scary Movie, why not? A live-action rated R adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. Let's go! That is what I was hoping that they were going to do. If you read that comic book, really great comic, and I think it's awesome that we're going to get a more gritty adult TMNT movie, because after reading that comic, I wanted to see that happen. So that's awesome. I'm excited for that. An untitled Damien Chazelle film. Oh, he's working with Paramount now, huh? I heard that his next project is set in a prison. So I don't know what that's going to be like, but That's going to be interesting. G.I. Joe and Transformers crossover film. I'm not surprised. They already teased that at the end of, what is that? Beast Wars, Transformers, Beast something, Beast Kingdom. The last Transformers movie. They already teased that at the end, so I knew that was coming. Bee Gees biopic, directed by Ridley Scott. Wow. Star Trek Origins film, written by Seth Grahame-Smith. The Running Man remake, directed by Edgar Wright and starring Glenn Powell. Wow. Wow. I didn't even know they're doing a Running Man remake. That was another, like, great Schwarzenegger movie. The Naked Gun remake, starring Liam Neeson, directed by Akiva Schaffer. Yeah, we kind of knew about that already. Not too happy about that. A new original horror film titled Vicious, starring Dakota Fanning. A new musical from South Park creators Trey and Matt Stone, with music from Kendrick Lamar? Okay, that's bizarre. A Paw Patrol 3. A Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem sequel. Good to hear about that. And Aang, the Last Airbender, with the voice cast featuring Eric Nam as Aang and Dave Bautista as the film's villain. Wow. I think from what I heard about this takes place as Aang when he's an adult, right? Ooh, that's fascinating. All right. A lot of announcements from Paramount. So, along with all that, Quiet Place Part 1. I think they got some footage shown for them there. More footage from If coming out. Transformers 1, which is the animated Transformers movie coming out this year. The audiences got to see the first trailer. Story follows a young Optimus Prime, still known as Orion Pax, voiced by Chris Hemsworth, and his brother-like relationship with a young Megatron. Oh, is that really what's happening? Oh, come on. They're going to do this whole thing like, oh, we were friends and brothers before, and then now we become mortal enemies as we get older. Come on. That sounds lazy. Is that really the lore? Anyway, young Megatron, known as D16, voiced by Brian Tyree Henry. The two robots do handy work together in the underground world of Cybertron, but their friendship grows shaky when Megatron wants to rebel and find out why no robots are allowed on the surface of Cybertron. Optimus reluctantly decides to help him figure out the truth behind this mystery because he can't help but support his best friend, even if it may not be the best idea. The two decide to embark on a journey together to unravel the secrets of Cybertron, a journey that will eventually make them rivals. I feel like that's such lazy writing. I feel like this is something they keep retreading over and over again. I don't know about that. The entire scene shown focus on Orion Pax and D16 breaking into a train facility with help of the not-so-helpful B-127, voiced by Keegan-Michael Key, who is eventually going to be Bumblebee, all right? Eventually get caught by one of their Autobot friends on patrol, Elita 1, Scarlett Johansson. Elita 1 tries to report them to authorities for breaking in, which leads to a colorful chase as the train the group was looking for actually takes off and sends them all on a scenic trip across Cybertron. Force, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Orion reveals to Elita 1 that they have found the matrix of leadership, which is the reason why they want to uncover more of what the leaders of Cybertron are hiding. The footage then ends when we see this group try to escape from the monstrous force on the planet's surface. There were also other significant bits of footage shown, like D16 molding the first ever Decepticon emblem from lava. It's 3D animation, and it's incredibly vibrant and sleek with loads of color and fantastical designs on full display. All right, interesting. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, man. I mean, the story sounds very lazy. It sounds like a rethread of something that we've already seen multiple times in the past, but I don't know. We'll see. They're saying that it looks like no other film in the series. Even the iconic animated from the 80s fans will be happy to know that Chris Hemsworth is almost unrecognizable as Orion. It's hard to tell that he's voicing the role. Meanwhile, Keegan-Michael Key brings a comedic charm to B-17, and Scarlett Johansson brings a resilience to Elita's 1. Brian Tyree Henry, however, sounds the most exciting as the soon-to-be Megatron, as he goes from sounding like a lovable brother to Optimus to a suspicious adversary on a dime. The designs borrow various elements from the classic 80s cartoon. The Transformers animated series from the late 2010s and the fan favorite War of Cybertronic video games. Okay. I guess we'll see what happens. Running Man should be interesting again. Oh man. The first movie is great. I love that Running Man movie. It's so good. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Looks like they got some exclusive footage there. You get to see Dr. Robotnik in his lab. He's gained some weight. Oh, he's gonna. Are we gonna get the fat version now? Let go to the dumps. He's let his hair go crazy and now has a noticeable belly. Robotnik jokingly says that he's been binging carbohydrates. All right, so it looks like we're gonna get more of the classic Sonic character looks here in this movie. I'm not gonna read the rest of this. I thought the second one was okay. I'm not really excited for this. But here we go. Gladiator 2. Like I said, this was like the second biggest reaction out of CinemaCon this past week. This is expected to come out this November, directed by Ridley Scott. CinemaCon was treated to an early look at Gladiator 2, which featured unfinished footage. 5-minute reels started with footage from the first Gladiator as we see the iconic shot of Russell Crowe's Maximus grazing his hand against a wheat field. We're then introduced to Paul Mescal's character, who recalls the impact that Maximus had in the Colosseum, that a slave could get justice in that arena. We see a hand grab a sword mounted on a wall labeled Maximus. Gladiator 2 takes place 24 years after the original and follows Paul Mescal as Lucius, a renounced nobleman who enters the arena. Denzel Washington's character is Lucius's sponsor in the arena, and he coaches him throughout the footage, giving him advice and wisdom. This is why they believe in power, he says. Then we're introduced to Pedro Pascal's character, donning white and gold as he enters the scene, riding on a chariot with an entire entourage. I'm sure that scene looked epic. I could only imagine how that wants to look like. Both have extremely pale skin and dark under-eye circles. One of the emperors is Joseph Quinn, as we've seen him before with blonde hair as he gives Pedro Pascal a crown. Quinn even does the iconic thumbs down motion at the arena. Connie Nielsen returns as Lucille and is seen with Pascal mostly watching the arena. The arena is even bloodier as the gladiators have to face a 3-headed dog, baboons, and a giant rhino. Finally, it is revealed that Pascal makes his way to the gladiator ring as he faces off against a group. In the end, Pascal and Mescal. Pascal and Mescal. Pascal and Mescal. Mescal and Pascal. Mescal and Pascal. Pascal, Mescal, Pascal, Mescal, Mescal, Pascal, Pascal, Pascal. So those are the two main, the guys are going to be going head to head there. So that sounds fun. That sounds exciting. I'm sure that's going to be good. It got me stoked. I will say that. Last but not least, we have Disney with their upcoming slate. And they start with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That's coming out this summer. So they debuted 13 minutes of exclusive footage. How about that? I'm not going to read any of this because I don't want to be spoiled. I kind of want to see this movie fresh. But it looks interesting. Deadpool and Wolverine. They got some exclusive footage at this one. This I will read because I am very, very curious as to what this is going to be all about. So they got 9 minutes of footage. The reel kicks off with Wade Wilson, now trying to live a new life as a car salesman. He works with his former X-Force team member, Peter, who keeps the old Deadpool costume in his work locker in hopes that they can both go back to crime fighting one day. Peter takes Wade back to his apartment for a surprise party to celebrate his birthday, and all the X-Men characters from the previous films are there, including Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Yukio, Dopinder, and his landlord, Blind Al. Vanessa is also there, but she and Wade are no longer dating. Ooh, that's interesting. I didn't know they're not together anymore. Oh, all right. But we saw moments of this in the teaser trailer that we got. When he tries to blow out his candles, the TVA's agents come to collect him, blah, 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 blah. We already saw a lot of this in the trailer. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Wade gets a complete suit upgrade via the TVA. Includes adamantium swords. Oh, the funniest joke of the footage is Wade running over to the camera, smashing the lens with his forehead, grabbing a mic out of frame and saying, "Suck it, Fox. I'm going to Disneyland. Get fucked." Wow. They are going all in, huh? When he rolls out with his new updated costume, Fergie's Glamorous plays and Wade starts to show off in true Deadpool fashion. The sneak preview shown at CinemaCon ends with Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in his comic-accurate yellow costume, driving down a road together. Deadpool jokes if the X-Men force Wolverine to wear the silly outfit, referencing that it has the colors of the LA Rams football team. All right, that sounds like a blast. Obviously, I can't wait for that. Inside Out 2. They were treated to the first 35 minutes of the movie. Wow. So they basically got treated to like a third of the movie. I'm not going to read any of this stuff. So I'm sure that's going to be interesting to see. Alien Romulus. Here we go. From Fede Alvarez. After that first trailer, I've been excited about this. So they showed 2 clips of the movie. We're introduced to Kaylee Spain. Wow, she's in this too? Wow, Kaylee is having such a career. She was in Priscilla last year. I just talked about her earlier because she's in Civil War, and now she's going to be in this movie. You go, girl. Rain Carradine and her fellow space crew who appear to be exploring a mysterious wrecked spaceship. The majority of the crew is stuck in a flooded room with water up to their knees. What they don't realize is that they are in the middle of an incubation room of sorts with dozens of alien pods holding facehuggers above them. The crew's android, Andy, played by David Johnson, needs to power down and reboot because of an error. While he's in the middle of rebooting, standing frozen still, the alien pods activate and release the facehuggers into the water. The crew is then all attacked by a horde of facehuggers, some using their tails to drown people and others leaping straight out of nowhere. Sounds awesome. The crew's managing to survive since they're skilled enough to swipe the facehuggers away with their guns and help each other out whenever one of them goes down. The majority of the facehuggers are noticeably brought to life through practical puppetry, giving the scene a tangible sense of urgency. The android Andy finishes his reboot and helps the team escape, grabbing some of the facehuggers with his bare hands to pry them away from people's faces. Kaylee Spainey's character manages to open one of the room's sliding doors from the outside, but only for a limited time. We then see an image of dozens upon dozens of facehuggers leaping out of the crew from claustrophobic hallway as everyone is running for their lives toward the only exit. I think we saw lots of this in the teaser trailer that we got. So that sounds like very, very fast-paced and amazing. The sliding door closes and everyone makes it out just in time. Blah, blah, blah. When the pain becomes too excruciating, she takes an X-ray flashlight of sorts to check her body, and we see clear. Ooh. There's the twist. She has a baby in her. She has an alien in her. What is she gonna do? Okay. The small alien is brought to life via puppetry, which is coming out super slow and giving the audience enough time to notice the small details in the design. It's an incredible visual that makes Alien Romulus feel more in line with the first Alien trilogy than the recent prequels. The footage ends with a montage of other moments from the film, including our first look at the full body of an adult xenomorph, which looks like an actor in a practical suit more than an animatronic. Okay, all of that sounds exciting. I love the fact that they're going practical. They're going back that route. And just knowing how Fede Alvarez directs his movies, I feel like he's going to nail a lot of the horror elements here. So that is exciting for me. So I'm very, very excited for that. Moana 2. So it's really funny. One of the clips I saw online is The Rock showing up in like this full-on presentation. And it was really, really interesting to see. Hold on. Let me see here if I can pull it up. And basically he shows up with this big Polynesian like performance, like these dancers around him and all that. So here you can see all this. And The Rock's been busy, man. He was at WrestleMania and all that. And you can tell he's really excited for this movie. That's awesome. He is so involved in Hawaiian culture and Pacific Islander culture. That's so awesome to see. So they ended their CinemaCon presentation with an entire musical number with Moana 2. We see an older Moana back on her boat with Hey Hey and Pua. She kicks off a song similar to the opening song, Where You Are, from the first movie. She's singing about returning to her home village of Motunui. Moana's parents join in on the song from the island. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So they give us a lot of that stuff. So that sounds like it's going to be an interesting, fun time. There also was some stuff from Mufasa. The Barry Jenkins directed Mufasa, Lion King. That is supposed to be a sequel, I believe, right, to the live action Lion King that we got. Jenkins described it as a first look at the teaser that should be eventually released. It starts off on a snowy mountain with a pride of lions lying under a branch of giant icicles. Rafiki narrates the story, describes it as being about a lion who will change everyone's lives. There are plenty of new environments on display, that, like Africa's swamplands, deep rivers, and even more. We see a young Mufasa. Oh, this is a prequel. Sorry. This is a prequel to The Lion King. Rise from the rocky desert, and Rafiki describes him as a lion who was born without an ounce of nobility. He will now go on a journey that will see him become the greater leader everyone knows and loves. All right. Sounds fascinating. Captain America Brave New World. We got treated also to new images from this movie. I think Entertainment Weekly came up with some new images of how this movie looks. I love this one shot here. This is one of the ones that really stood out to me. And you see Anthony Mackie there with the shield. This looks great. And I didn't realize that Harrison Ford is now Thunderbolt Ross. You know, because we lost, unfortunately, John Hurt passed away. So he is now picking up the reins of Thunderbolt Ross. So I mean, that's very fitting for Harrison Ford, I think. So they showed footage for Brave New World. And basically the way it's describes that Sam Wilson's meeting Thunderbolt Ross, who is now the president. President Ross, wow, at the White House. Ross is asking to meet with Wilson so he can reunite the Avengers with a new Captain America at the forefront. He's looking to unite forces, but he might have some ulterior motives unknown to everyone else. During a meeting where Ross is presenting this plan to a crowd, with Sam in attendance, a mysterious villain takes over the speakers and controls the minds of Secret Service agents and Isaiah Bradley. So we have Isaiah back, who Sam struggles to pin down in a fight. Full chaos ensues, which leads us to a montage of the different action set pieces of the film. We see Sam getting attacked at the White House using his shield to block himself from multiple Secret Service agents trying to tase him. We see shots of Sam Wilson and Joaquin Torres in action together. Everything builds up to a tense confrontation between Sam and Thunderbolt Ross inside the Oval Office, wherein Ross tells him, "You're no Steve Rogers." After a long pause, and Sam says, "You're right, I'm not." Finally, we see Sam suit up in the new Captain America suit, which is more silver and blue than white and blue. Woo, okay. So that sounds all fun and fascinating, and a lot of stuff coming out of CinemaCon. Certain things that were not covered in these recaps, like I said, Paramount also announced a new Smurfs movie. They're still trying to keep certain franchises alive, which is so crazy. But yeah, there's a new Smurfs movie coming out next year. Rihanna will write original music and star as Smurfette. There you go. Other voices to the cast are Nick Offerman, Natasha Lyonne, J.P. Carliak, Dan Levy, Amy Sedaris, Nick Kroll, James Corden, Octavia Spencer, Hannah Waddington, Sandra Oh, Alex Winter, Billy Lord, Zolo Maridueña, Kurt Russell, and John Goodman. Jesus Christ, what a cast. But yeah, Smurfs is coming back to theaters. Whoop-de-doo. Apple also renews Monarch Legacy of Monsters for a second season, which is going to be fun and fascinating and exciting for a lot of fans of the show. Plus, there will be spin-offs in the works there. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Also, this is the new logo for Transformers 1. Right there, in case that interests you. Nia DaCosta is going to be directing the new 28 Years Later franchise. So that was a piece of news that dropped as well. So it's not Danny Boyle this time, but this time Nia DaCosta is taking up the helm there. But I do think Alex Garland might be co-writing the script on this. I'm not sure. There was footage of Kevin Feige talking about a new Deadpool popcorn bucket that should rival the Dune bucket. Let's listen in on that right now.
We've asked Deadpool to design a popcorn bucket for Deadpool and Wolverine. And I don't want to spoil it, but I will say there are some movies that inadvertently make crude and rude popcorn buckets. And then there are popcorn buckets designed by Deadpool. And I look forward to all of you experiencing that for yourself. But that big screen experience.
There you go. So, look, you know Deadpool, you know it's going to be something crude and interesting. My guess, it might be maybe in shape of the unicorn that he loves to kind of masturbate with. I don't know. We shall see. Also, they showed off a new logo for Thunderbolts, which is now, for some reason, has an asterisk at the end of it. And I'll show it here, right here. So there, Thunderbolts with an asterisk at the end of it. And Kevin Feige says, we won't tell you any more about that until the film comes out, as to why there's an asterisk there at the end of Thunderbolts. I don't know what kind of craziness he's trying to pull here, but that's basically what's happening there. Let's see what else was missed here. Oh, this is fun. Kevin Feige dropped the F-bomb as he was presenting Deadpool Wolverine.
Another thing that is fucking awesome is the director that we get to work with. He is your honoree for Director of the Year tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sean Levy.
There you go. So Kevin Feige is getting into character, dropping F-bombs. Oh, this is another. Well, no, this is not new footage, new image. That's old. Let's see. Yeah, we saw Dwayne Johnson performing there. Blair Witch we talked about. Monopoly we talked about. I think that's pretty much it. At least for now. So, yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff dropped this week. A lot to talk about. A lot to get excited for, to be honest with you. And a lot to look forward to. So, yeah. And along with that, as if that all wasn't enough, we also got the complete lineup that's supposed to be of all the films that are coming out and being debuted or part of the Cannes Film Festival this year. And the one thing that stood out to me the most is that Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis is going to be there, and that will be the first time that film will debut. So that is something that I think you should, or us movie fans should pay very close attention to, because if that can get picked up by a buyer, by a studio, then we'll all have an opportunity to finally see this movie that a lot of people are saying a lot of great things about. Because right now, from what I read, it's very difficult to shop this movie around because it's a very abstract, movie. And I think Francis Ford Coppola is just having a hard time selling it. So hopefully when it gets screened there and it gets some recognition, then maybe a studio will be brave enough to kind of go in and snatch it up and finally release it for everyone to see. So yeah, that's it. That's all of that in a nutshell. And like I said, it was a lot to go over, a lot to talk about, a lot to recap, but a lot of things to be excited for and look forward to. So obviously, if you are watching this on the replay or catching up on all these things, I'm so curious which one stood out to you the most as some of the fun stuff that's coming out or that have been announced. Let me know in the comments and all. But I am going to head out for this morning. It's already 1:21 p.m. here on the East Coast. It is raining like crazy outside, so it's definitely going to be a gloomy day. But I hope the day is going to be great for all of you. What was the event called? The Cannes Film Festival over there in France. Cannes in France. Cannes in France. Cannes in France. Cannes in France. We do. And Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis is the movie I was talking about. I hope I answered that question correctly. If that was the question you asked. I'll wait to hear confirmation. Oof, I'm exhausted. I talked a lot today. Probably sick and tired of hearing me, huh? Great show. Thank you. I'm glad you were able to join in. I'm glad you were able to be here, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will be back again as normal on Monday morning at 10 a.m. doing the recap of the weekend box office, and I don't know, whatever else I feel like talking about or whatever news comes up. So hope you enjoy your whole weekend. What game are you playing? So are you still playing Assassin's Creed? Let me know. Yep, I knew it. See, I remember playing that Assassin's Creed. I'm still playing Persona 3. I feel like I'm finally approaching the end of this damn game that I've been spending my entire life playing. So we shall see if that is something that I can complete over the weekend. But however you spend your weekend, make it a great and memorable one. Make it something that is very comfortable and relaxing for all of you so that you can be all refreshed and ready to start your week anew on Monday. But until next time, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. I'll catch you all on the flip side. Peace out, everyone. Bye-bye.